Not even 24 hours, and the Academy is rushing and panicking again.
Oh God, is something new happening?
I mean,
um, well, the only news that I've seen is Eilish and Phineas are now officially performing, but them and Beyonce are the only two that we know of.
I thought you were talking about the news that broke earlier today that Rachel Zegler got her Oscar invite to present.
Yes, that's the other one that just came in a few hours ago.
Uh,
I like the fact they're saying, oh, well, they're having to rejiggle Snow White's filming. The set caught fire. I'm pretty sure they're having to redo the sets.
I'd say a bit.
or they could just abandon that project altogether, which nothing will
All
be lost.
idea.
And no, we're not talking about other things involving abandonment and Disney, considering what's happened today with walkouts.
Yeah.
I support this wholeheartedly. um. So yeah, didn't we just do this yesterday? Yeah, we totally did. But tonight it's a lot more important. We're not talking about random guilds. We're not talking about the spirits. We're not talking about the satellites. We're not talking about the Razzies. Oh no,
We're
this
talking
is the
about the
ends.
BAFTAs being the super spreader event for COVID.
No, just Coda. Um,
Wow. Okay. Thanks, Kieran Hines. You getting COVID 19 apparently doesn't give a damn.
so here's the thing. I say that a lot, and I noticed that lately. So, we are finally here to the day that we've been waiting for since August, where we're going to attempt to predict all categories for the Oscars with not our predictions, as in what we want to win necessarily, but what's going to win. And we're actually going to chime in today, and Chad will be able to do the same on what could win and what could be the dark horse, potentially. If there's three answers, if there's two answers, if there's only one. I mean, we got a lot to talk about tonight.
There's a couple here where there's only one.
Oh yeah. I have nice little like brackets of everything. Like this also could possibly win, and this might upset. And then there's like, hey, there's Drive My Car, there's Ariana DeBose. That's like, okay, there's really nothing else to say there. So welcome to our final Oscar prediction show here on the Popcast Network. My name is Owen. Joining me as always, we have Ashley.
Kenneth Branagh has got COVID.
Even know that. But I will say, God, Belfast is gonna have a really bad weekend then. So also joining me, we might as well just cut out the middleman and just say it right now here on this show at 6:32 p.m. on the 22nd of March. The winner of the 2022 prediction contest before the freaking Oscars even happens, AJ.
I feel like a terrible person because I know that my very first thought should have been, "Oh, that's terrible that Kieran Hines and Branagh have COVID," and I genuinely hope they're okay. Of course I do. Of course that's the main thought. But my other thought was, shit, they really deserve to be at the ceremony, and now they won't be.
Like I said, it's gonna be a
Hell,
really bad day for Belfast.
Branagh alone apparently is at the Oscar World Awards that are happening in New York on Thursday, getting an honorary award. Now it's like touch and go whether that's even going to happen.
So we've done this a lot in the past, but I feel like we kind of got away from it for a bit. So we're not only going to predict what's going to win in our minds at least, and we could be proven right, we could be proven wrong. We're also going to talk about what could win and a dark horse that could possibly like come in out of nowhere and like snatch that. So we'll see where we're going to go with that. 23 categories, unlimited time, and an extremely loyal and lively chat as always. This is our Oscar prediction show. Josie starts off the show right away. Hey, Popcast team. Today I watched a beautiful anime film on Netflix called A Silent Voice. It's based off a manga comic. watching it because I'm doing a video where I'm pairing some of the Best Picture nominees with other movies. Interesting. Drive My Car in Paris, Texas, Dune and Stargate. You're welcome. Power of the Dog and Man Without a Star. Coda and a Silent Voice. Licorice Pizza and Rock and Roll High School. Incidentally, we put over Brian here on the network before, and we'll get him taken care of in a minute because he's got some to chime in as well. But I never mentioned Josie before. Yeah, so you can check out Josephine DeMarco on YouTube and check out her videos. She's got a lot of movie content, got some poetry content. It's some really solid documentation in a verbalized form, and I definitely want to throw out a shout out to her because she's very loyal to the network, and she's always here giving us things to talk about. And we'll continue to do so with the PMC starting next month. So that being said, yeah, check her out. She's got a lot of really cool things to say. If you just notice her from chat, then you can definitely check out more of her body of work on YouTube. Said I rented Hope and Glory in the 1987 version, directed by John Boorman, thinking of pairing it with Belfast.
That's what I've been saying all season.
So now I'm trying to work out what the other four are going to be.
Boorman known for Deliverance and Zardoz. Like Belfast, Hope and Glory is based on the director's experiences and possibly went home empty-handed at the Oscars. Yeah. If what I'm saying is to be believed, we'll get there. Brian says, well, Screen Junkies released their honest trailer today, and I want how it should have ended to do a Best Picture summary with the characters of Spider-Man Nope, take a shot, No Way Home. Carlito's Way or The Untouchables, says Josie.
I think I've seen The Untouchables more times, but I think I prefer Carlito's Way.
They've both been on Versus, haven't they? I'm pretty sure they have.
Yeah, we did The Untouchables with Gangster Squad, and we did Carlito's Way with Scarface.
Yep. Cheap plug, Mick Foley style. Honest trailers used to be so funny. I don't find them as funny anymore now that they've gotten new writers, says Josie.
I feel like it was that, and there was also that time when they started to get directors on to talk about the directors of the movies they were doing parodies of. And at that point, it's like they started kissing a lot of ass rather than what they used to do. I feel like the last time I think I watched an honest trailer, because I felt like they've peaked, they can't get any better than this, and they surely will not ever, was when they did their Wes Anderson video. The starring portion of their Wes Anderson video is the best thing they ever did.
Now, on your recommendation alone, and the fact that I'm such a Wes Anderson mark anyway, I'm pretty sure I did watch this back in the day when it was a thing, but I rewatched it again, and it kind of took me down the Dave Attell time travel rabbit hole of YouTube, and I basically looked at a lot of the old honest trailers, and I was like, I used to like this stuff. It's something that reminded me of a much weirder time in cinema and a much weirder time in my life personally. So, old school 2013 predictions. That's right, Brian. That's exactly where we're going back there. Should be fun. It's when this network started. Think about it from that perspective. We are getting ready to celebrate another anniversary. We started Pop, which went into Popcast Network on May 1st, 2013. So yeah, we're getting to another anniversary coming up next year. We'll be 10 years as a network. Crazy to think. And it's also depressing in some ways, AJ, and I know exactly where you're coming from. Neither of us are anywhere that we want to be right now in more ways than one. But as always,
if anything, we're a step back, because that old thing that I'll mention as many times as I can, that I can't prove. But
well, I mean, I didn't look like this in 2013. I would have been looking like this in 2013. So lots of good things, but lots of bad as well. So yeah, a little older, a little wiser, starting to get hair in really weird places, man. Needless to say, yeah, we talk way too much about Waynesville. Don't worry, we're very soon going to be actually discussing it properly again on this network. There's no way that.
Yeah.
Josie says, let's stay positive here. Of course. I always said that, well, the New Day coined the phrase power of positivity. That's what Pop stood for there. So, yeah, we are the Popcast network after all. I can't say all rights reserved because I don't have a copyright on it. But, yeah, we are. I've always said before, we're not podcasters, we're popcasters. This is a podcast, not a podcast. It's just basically a name alone. So it's like basically trying to brand everything. Like the Suro and Disney thing. Like, obviously, I'm the Universal guy. I have been for a long time. And I've been very adamant about how much I have disliked a lot of things Disney has done lately for a lot of reasons. But it's a brand. And it's what people know me as. So I might as well stick with it. But I've been Owen for the longest time anyway. So, I mean, we're just going to roll with that as well. As I watch myself making motions with my hands on the TV screen in front of me. So, yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. And then, of course, if you were not here last night, you can check out the archive. We had a nice 3-hour conversation talking about the guilds and also just randomness, and it was fun. It was like an old school vlog of randomness as a podcast. Never thought I'd see that happen, but it just kind of did. Oscar Sunday, we're going to be live after the show for your post-show experience, and the three of us will be talking. And then, we're going to stick around for a bit. And Monday night, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to have a nice little Q&A, talk about movies, and get you guys ready for our Popcast Movie Club starting next month. So, a lot of cool stuff coming for the network. Josie says, which awards season pre-1990 would you want to travel back in time to and witness firsthand?
I have a very convenient book next to me that's going to help me out with it.
I have this amazing thing, this tool called Wikipedia. So,
hey, but books will never be obsolete. Go fuck yourself.
no, they will not classify themselves as obsolete, especially when we have a librarian on the Popcast, good sir. There's all.
I'm not really sure. You said pre-90?
Pre-1990.
Oh my god.
I can almost imagine Josie right now sitting in a chair or a desk or like sitting on a bed right now, just literally like doing the Mr. Burns thing. Is like excellent.
I mean, if we're going just on Best Picture and not paying attention to the rest of it, which I'll quickly look over, I want to say the 40th in '67. Because that was when In the Heat of the Night beat Bonnie and Clyde, Dr. Dolittle, Graduate, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And then you also had, like, Audrey Hepburn's Waiting Till Dark, Paul Newman's Cool Hand Luke, Dirty Dozen, Barefoot in the Park. There's a lot of good...
I mean, I have an easy answer to this. And AJ probably knows where I'm going to go with it before I even say it. I'm going with 49. The year that Rocky won. The 49th ceremony.
Okay.
1977.
I kind of would have been curious to watch the Godfather Cabaret duel in real time.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, you've got Rocky, you've got Network, you got Taxi Driver, you've got Carrie. Burgess Meredith was an Oscar nominee. I mean, come on.
He was the previous year, too.
Yeah.
For the Day of the Locust. Yeah, there's ones where it's like they're almost kind of weird in retrospect, where one movie seemed to conquer, but then another one won, and the one that won is now like the most legendary movie ever made.
Oh, you mean like how Gonna Fly Now lost to Evergreen from A Star Is Born?
Yeah.
71's also a shout because of French Connection, Clockwork Orange, Fiddle on the Roof, Last Picture Show, Nicholas and Alexandra. Trying to think of the other things that were on that in terms of like the other stuff: Clute, Sunday Bloody Sunday, Mary Queen of Scots.
While we're on the topic of A Clockwork Orange's year, you can throw this on A Clockwork Orange also. A couple years prior, when Midnight Cowboy won, despite the kind of movie it was for the time, must have been a really fun shit show to see play out.
Yeah,
Kind of reminds me of when you had the craziness of the Full Monty.
Yeah,
A very
that's
I'm
still
like,
crazy how good the Full Monty did for the kind of movie that it is.
tell me about it. So Brian chimes in about the Disney topic. He says, offensive cheerleaders from Texas. That's all I'll say about it. Yeah, we don't talk about that. Hey, I mean, I'm glad they got raked over the coals for it more than I did last night about Dune, so we're good on that. Deservingly so. Josie says, without getting too political in honor of Jackson's hearing today, what are your favorite court movies?
It's all my answers are so obvious. To Kill a Mockingbird comes to mind. A Few Good Men comes to mind.
My Cousin Vinny.
Inherit the Wind. My Cousin Vinny's a great choice.
I like Liar Liar.
Yes. Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I guess
That
technically 12 Angry Men counts, even though you don't actually see a courtroom in it.
Yeah, I count it.
I like My Cousin Vinny.
Oh my god, Judgment in Nuremberg.
Yeah.
I know it's not entirely courtroom based, but not in the line of fire. Was it that one? The one about the Birmingham Six with Day Lewis.
In the Name of the Father.
In the Name of the Father, that's the one.
Literally just came across my screen as you were saying that.
You know what's kind of a lot of people didn't like it, and it probably hasn't aged well. I'm pretty sure there was a controversy that hasn't aged well, but I remember really liking Ghost of Mississippi, if mainly for James Woods' incredible performance. And I now that we know what we know about James Woods, it's one of those cases where it's like, but yeah, so I always took to that one mainly for him, but yeah, the last I heard, apparently it didn't age well, so I'm curious how that goes.
So Lorraine chimes in. Does anyone know if BAFTA or WGA has a better track record of predicting original screenplay when the winners differ?
It's a really good question, and I didn't really look into it because I kind of already had a preconceived idea in my head of what I was gonna say today.
Name?
But I would, especially with what we've seen lately, without looking up the statistics, I would probably lean on BAFTA more. Especially because we have eligibility stuff in WGA all the time.
Yeah.
Brian says To Kill a Mockingbird, The Trial of Chicago 7, Breaker Morant, RBG, and 12 Angry Men.
Breaker Morant's a good one.
So Josie says, who would you rather have as a lawyer? Atticus Finch, Saul Goodman, Vinny, Daredevil, or the Few Good Men team?
Few Good Men team really had their shit together.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to say that. Though if Vinny's got Marissa Tomei working with him, and it may have just been her, niche knowledge on one thing that helped that case, but still, she seems like she'd be a great asset.
I mean, I think I'm gonna go with, if you want to talk about a theatrical one, I'm probably gonna go with Atticus Finch.
Yeah.
But my lawyer is and always will be smart Mark Sterling. So that's 100% correct right there.
I want to say the lawyer from Trial of the Chicago 7 that Mark Rylance played.
Yeah.
Because he seemed to know his shit.
Trial of Chicago 7's not a movie that stuck with me that much, but that scene where he interrogates Eddie Redmayne, I think about all the time.
Fair assessment. So, I think we can start now. Let's get into this.
Well, it's very appropriate that Josie started the conversation where she did, because we're going to start with animated.
Okay.
So, for animated feature, that is.
All right.
So, animated feature, we have Encanto, Flea, Luca, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon.
I'll quickly hop in here. In terms of like the other awards bodies, it's practically Encanto across the board, bar the critics and the Annies giving it to Mitchells vs. the Machines, and randomly the sound editing award went to Raya and the Last Dragon.
Had to get something apparently. Luke, I guess it doesn't matter.
So, Luca is still the reject.
And technically, Flea got the Independent Annie Award as well. So yes, Luca's won nothing.
Poor Luca. And Luca's really nice too. All of these are quality. There's not a shit one in here, which is nice. It's not like what was that, 2017, when we had the Boss Baby and Ferdinand for some fuck reason.
Because John Cena is an Oscar nominee.
So
AJ was just relieved that Sing 2 wasn't in there.
Which for some reason, even though it's award season still, we're going to release a sing-along of Sing 2 wide for some reason this weekend.
They do it for Encanto, but I think the Encanto one's only on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I think so. And for some reason, The Lost City has 14 showtimes. So, needless to say...
And kick the Batman at Adobe. Thanks, guys.
Oh, but anyway, the task at hand. So, it appears to be Encanto versus Mitchells vs. the Machines, but we've been talking about Flea doing this unprecedented thing of being in 3 categories. Feels like it should get something. But that might come up a little later, because I'm not going to go into that here, because I feel like it's narrowed down enough to Encanto and the Mitchells vs. the Machines. And I would be afraid that Mitchells vs. I like Mitchells vs. Machines, but I kind of love Encanto, so I say afraid in that sense. That Mitchells vs. Machines could pull this off.
Good.
Which would be fine. It wouldn't be undeserved. But you look at how much the Academy seems to love Disney in general, and how if Disney's an option, they'll probably go for it.
Okay.
With some very rare exceptions in here. And it taking PGA. And the fact that Mitchells vs. Machines is really good and has a really passionate fan base, but Encanto's like a phenomenon. So, and not a delayed phenomenon like the Zootopia versus Moana race.
Sure.
Where it feels like Moana kind of became a phenomenon after the fact. Encanto was pretty much immediate. So I'm going to say Encanto based on all of that.
Okay. Ashley.
Yeah, Encanto for me as well. I there's certainly an opportunity for Mitchells, and a very, very slim chance, I'd say, of Flea getting it. But yeah, the fact that I don't know if it's still at number 1 in the charts, but the fact that they've had to get We Don't Talk About Bruno to be added into the ceremony, because that's how much of a phenomenon it's become, mainstream, and they need the mainstream eyes on the product. Has to be.
As always, before I go into mine, we go into chat. Top Hat, welcome back. Hey there, hi there, ho there, fellas. Lorraine says, very nice. Lorraine says, I know this is not the consensus this year at all, but I'll go with Luca. When in doubt, go with Pixar. That's a gamble, Lorraine.
Wow.
The immortal words of Jock Sampson.
Like,
style.
remember the one of the last shots in 300 where it's the wall of arrows and then just Gerard Butler? That's what that bet feels like. But major props for going for it.
Oh, you mean like the inside joke we had a long time ago at the theater when we would kick the? We did never do this. Don't worry, we never did this. But we were talking about doing it as a joke to kick the movie canisters down the stairs at people, 300 style.
Of course.
Never did it, and I promise you. But it's something we thought about doing. That's the vibe I get from that. Encanto is the clear choice. It's sad since Mitchell's team has been showing so much passion and effort in their campaign, says Top Hat.
Well,
Josie says, speak.
apparently, Lord and Miller have also got COVID. So it might be another case where if they win, it'll be they can't be here tonight.
So they're not gonna have to do any sort of distancing at this show. It's gonna do itself.
It could be at that rate, yeah. Which is the annoying bit.
So, speaking of Finch, Salinger did not want any adaptation of Catcher in the Rye or any of his work unless something happened with his estate or something. Do you ever think there were ever, Chris Jericho style, be a Catcher in the Rye adaptation or just a Catcher in the Rye-esque stories, says Josie.
As I said, I think the closest we've probably gotten so far is The Good Girl, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult, Josie, because it kind of reminds me of Stephen King not wanting his properties turned into Halloween Horror Nights houses, and we got The Shining a couple years ago, but it wasn't based on King's Shining. So that's how we got away with it.
I'd say probably, because eventually somewhere down the line, somebody's going to be desperate for money.
Yeah, and it'll be one of those things where there's stuff today that's like being, or not today, but being adapted, where you're like, how was that never a movie before this? And it's like years down the road, that'll probably be that.
Yeah, I could think of a couple thoughts on my head, but I don't want anybody to take them at this point. So we're going to leave that in the abyss for the time being. Brian says, put all your bets on Lightyear next year. I don't know. I'm still not sold on that movie. I mean, but I'm not the target audience of it either. So I don't know.
You've got that. You've got Spider-Verse. You've got...
That's what Top Hat brings
up. You've got Minions finally coming out. I wouldn't doubt Turning Red possibly making it in, because that's actually trying to do something that's...
Can we please get a theatrical release? Come on.
Well, you know, Disney only care about certain things.
Yeah, that's the... See, the thing is, they're being kept afloat when the world shut down because of Disney Plus, and they know that's where their bread is buttered. That's the only reason why they stayed afloat. Otherwise, it's in a little bit of trouble. Top Hat says, considering Salinger said no to Spielberg, I'm going to say no. Top Hat says, hey, we don't talk about Bruno.
Depending how good it is, Apollo 10.5 might stand a chance if that's classified enough as animation. I mean, it's from the Netflix animation studio wing, so I guess technically.
I was gonna say we got Flea in this year. That's probably the closest we've gotten to something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Flea. I wasn't when I saw it.
Bad Guys seems promising.
Possible. Trailer looks like something that would be Oscar bait.
Yeah. The Bob's Burgers movie I think is unlikely.
Simpsons movie got in though.
Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank. Sorry, that's the first I've heard of that. Yet it's also got Samuel L. Jackson and George Takei and Mel Brooks. Is this robots? DC League of Superheads, maybe. There's also apparently one called Luck that's going to be on Apple TV via Paramount with Jane Fonda and Whoopi Goldberg. Okay. Puss in Boots, maybe, if it turns out to be good. Nothing said about that one. Walt Disney Animation Studios one is called Strange World, but we don't know anything about that yet. It's coming out in November. That's a little concerning. So yeah, I think it's not a done deal for any one of them. I'd say they certainly have the potential to. If they can deliver on the potential, it'll be sorted.
So Josie says, fun fact, red pandas aren't actually pandas, they're raccoons.
Mm-hmm.
I like the emojis again you throw out every single time, Josie. I enjoy them. Linklater's Apollo 10.5, Del Toro's Pinocchio, says Brian.
I'm not sure what is Del Toro's Pinocchio like stop motion?
What it looks like, but I could be wrong.
I'm so vague on all these Pinocchio projects. I don't know which one's
Then
which.
again, I don't know whether Pinocchio's even coming out this year. Whether it got delayed. Let's have a quick look.
So I might as well just go with my prediction now since we've got a lull in the conversation. I'm gonna go with Encanto here. Like, it's not every day that AJ connects with an animated movie. Honestly, it really isn't. You've been watching for a long time. You know this. And he got me based upon circumstance. He got me to watch this movie, and I loved it. It was great. One of my favorite movies of the year. Very well done. I'm glad I got to see it in a theater. I'm glad it wasn't a stupid Disney Plus release. But I mean, yeah, Top Hat confirms it's stop motion. Yeah, Mitchell's versus the Machines has a chance, but I feel that at the end of the day, got to go with Encanto.
I think my main connection with it is probably the Miranda soundtrack, but also usually in animated movies, a lot of the characters are kind of annoying, and you don't really care. Right. And I love even the characters you're supposed to hate. I love.
That's fair.
And Mirabel's a great, sympathetic main character. So.
Agree.
All right, this one should be fast. Should we do foreign real quick or international?
Yes.
As soon as I find it here. There we are. Not that we need the nominees, but they are Drive My Car, Flee, The Hand of God, Yak in the Classroom, and The Worst Person in the World. Obviously, there's no competition.
Nope.
There's no dark horse.
Nope.
I mean, once again, you could go into the whole Flea's got to get something thing, but no. Once again, I feel like we have this conversation every year. There's always the front runner in international, and it's like, but it could be this thing. It's never that thing. It's never going to be that thing. It's always the thing that it looks like, especially when it's in picture or director or both in this case. So once again, I'd just be really curious to know if anybody's not saying Drive My Car.
I mean, I'm saying Drive My Car. But, like, you know, Dream World, I mean, Yak somehow wins. And it's like I should have seen it all along. The film that actually came out in 2019 but was eligible for 2020 but wasn't because the Bhutan did not have a recognised, you know, film body or an academy. So it was allowed to enter the following year because of the craziness of the pandemic. You know, surely it's got to be in there for some reason. I just hope it's not last. But we'll never know the actual figures of the voting, so it's probably last.
Yeah. Josie says animated movie pitch, Zodiac Zone, Inside Out with star signs. The joke, Jesus was not a Capricorn. Great.
I thought
Brian
it was going to
said,
be. I thought when you said Zodiac Zone, I thought it was like a Twilight Zone episode revolving around the Zodiac killer.
Yeah.
That's a David Fincher project if ever I thought of one.
Yeah,
No,
'cause
it's a Matt Reeves movie. We're watching it right now.
you started with animated, and then I heard Zodiac, and my first thought was an animated Zodiac movie. That's trippy.
Oh
But
shit!
then it's like,
Richard
yeah,
Linklater's just taking hurdy-gurdy man to the extreme. He's doing Scanner Darkly style.
yeah, an Inside Out-esque animated movie about like the signs. I can actually see that existing.
It honestly seems like something that Illumination would do.
Yeah, like that, like it's like where it's clearly knockoff Inside Out.
Yep. I'm looking at you, Shark
No,
Tale.
that'll be what's it called? Asylum Entertainment,
Oh God.
or that
Yeah.
thing that does all the animated things that always come out on DVD just at the same time as the thing comes out in
The
cinemas.
blockbusters.
The knocks offs are the knocks off.
So I'm just waiting for Chronic the Hedgehog 2 on DVD next week.
Who would win in a fight, the yak or a donkey with headphones? Says Brian.
The donkey with headphones is in the zone.
Oh yeah, literally.
So he's got the advantage.
Then again, the yak does have pointy horns.
I don't think it matters. I think he just beat him to death with the headphones. Rapid fire headbutts, literally.
Given that they're beats, they probably fall apart when you blow on them. Horns do not. Yak win. I mean, look at that yak. The horns are literally pointing in such a way that like it could just back elbow style. You know.
How many sets of horns has Johnny Knoxville survived? It's quite a few at this point.
Agreed. Yak versus Donkey, Dawn of Justice, says Top Hat. Hey, still more relevant than Superman.
Why are their parents both named Donkey Yak? I can't call it Martha because it's like Donkey Yaki, Donkey Oti, Donkey Yaki.
I will say when we get into the Big Eight, I have a prediction of what could be my personal Big Eight lineup when I get to my Oscar movie marathon, said Brian. Top Hat throws out the obvious, drive my car. Also mentioned Studio Brinquedo does the animated knockoffs.
Right.
Josie
I just call it Asylum because it's the same concept.
There we go. Josie, it's something you definitely would see at 2:00 in the morning in your local Walmart. Josie says, I see a Zodiac movie more so G-Kids because astrology isn't really an interest of little kids. Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we went from it's a mockbuster to Inside Out to it's gonna be actually this amazing G-Kids movie.
Amazing G-Kids movie that's going to do really, really well in awards season and then just lose at the very last minute.
I would say one of these days G-Kids has to win. One of these days it's going to happen. It may be 50 years from now, but it's going to happen.
Josie also says, who'd win in a fight, the Yak or Gabriel from Malignant?
Ooh. Gabriel's fucking wild. The way he moves is insane.
It's the yak because Malignant is a meme. It is a meme. That's the oh, it's this big thing. It's the scariest thing you'll have ever seen. And then it's like, holy shit, Cirque du Soleil showed up in my horror film.
And Brian asks about the Yak versus Cliff and Brandy. I think the Yak was going down.
Yeah.
We're cooking some yak steak tonight.
We're gonna watch Bounty Law, and then we're gonna cook some yak steak. 100%.
All of a sudden, Lunana comes on the television, and DiCaprio's like,
unless Cliff's alone, then he's watching Mannix.
Yeah, it's true. That is also fair. And we are moving on. Obviously, the answer here is Drive My Car. Come on, it's one of my favorite movies of the year, and there's no other competition for it. There's sometimes you just don't have a competition. This is one of them.
Yeah, because my favorite horror movie of the year didn't make it. Because a hero didn't make it. And I'm not usually a variety person, but I just really took to a hero in a surprising way, I felt like. But yeah, Drive My Car would probably be my second choice under that, I guess. The Hand of God is good, but by the time it gets to, like, the last 45 minutes, I was kind of done with it.
It does make me happy, and like Yak is the reason why it's never gonna happen. Because Hand of God, I do have like minor access to after the Oscars are over when it doesn't matter anymore. But the fact that I got 3 of the international features theatrically, I'm happy with. Not something that normally happens.
And I stand by that. I wish I had taken more to the worst person in the world, but I just kind of didn't. But it happens.
Well, I did in a different wave, so we're good there. Josie also says in Monsters Inc. Take a shot. The abominable snowman mentions yak's milk.
Yes, he did.
And they didn't even mention it in Abominable. When Zendaya is Michi.
That was Smallfoot, and yes, I confuse those as well.
Yeah, because didn't they come out like within 2 months of each other as well? And it's like, surely the one would be called the other. Like,
Yeah.
Josie mentions a Toy Story knockoff called Toy Fable.
Oh my god, I could just see the boring animation right now. It's like that's what Toy Fable would be, one of those substitute teacher movies. That's just always at the school in the AV room, and it's like an old VHS that only has half of its box.
I vaguely remember them bringing out trucks because they couldn't do planes or cars.
There's a worm in my belt. Not the same thing.
Instead of the water hole, is it somebody's poisoned the reservoir?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course. Because they turned into a Batman villain on us.
All right.
For some reason, the horse is called Penguin rather than Bullseye. Because we just get a loose connection to Colin Farrell somehow.
All right. Are we?
Yes, move.
Yeah.
Should we start rolling the dice a little bit?
Oh, depending on what category we're going to, sir.
Documentary.
Oh, the doc.
Maybe.
Let's take a look. We have Ascension, Attica, Flee, Summer of Soul, and Riding with Fire.
Okay.
In terms of I didn't bother with the previous on foreign film because it pretty much was Drive My Car, but again the sound editor's going Cliff Walkers, which wasn't even in here. On this one, it's pretty much everything bar Attica getting DGA, and the sound editor's going with The Rescue, which didn't make it in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying they seem to really take to the stuff that's the hardest to watch. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Whether it be feature or short. They love their hard-to-watch documentaries.
Yeah. By hard to watch, we mean it's a struggle to get through it, it's not available. High Writing with Fire.
Yeah. So, based on that, when I saw the movie, before nominations had even come out, I was wondering if Attica could be a spoiler. And then that really creeped in my mind after that DGA win. Because across the board, we see Summer of Soul, and we've seen... Usually, it seems to be 2 things happen to documentary. Either there is a front runner that doesn't get nominated at all, or a front runner that goes all the way with ease.
Right.
But documentary can also be pretty unpredictable.
True.
Like when Icarus happened. And it's always been that thing where, because of that whole snub, even though Summer of Soul is here now, because of that whole, a lot of the times frontrunners get snubbed in documentary thing, I always have this feeling that frontrunners are never safe in documentary.
Never.
No matter how much they've won. And we've been talking about Flea has done something unprecedented by getting in all three of these categories that was possible for. And it was like, surely it would win one of those. But like we were saying, animated's already a battle between two, with one already looking like it's got the upper hand. And international's just not a conversation at all. So you could say the same. You could say Summer of Soul is as safe of a bet as Drive My Car is an international, but it's documentary, and they're not always that solidified. They often can be if there is an established frontrunner, but I think I'm going to say Flea.
Okay.
Just because you got to throw some gambles out there.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Questlove, but yeah.
Ashley.
I think they're gonna go with something like positive this year. And don't say My Octopus Teacher was positive. That was fucking creepy. So yeah, I'm gonna go Summer of Soul. You know, it's really it's not the only contender out of all of these that is very sort of Black Lives Matter derived, but considering how much of an iconic thing this was and was thought to have been lost, just like, I mean, another one that got snubbed, Amazing Grace. Nobody thought that footage would ever come out and ever get rescued because it was all completely out of sync, and miracles happened, and we've got one of the best music. I can't even say documentaries. It's more like a concert film to some extent.
Yeah, like Woodstock.
Yeah, really. So I'm going Summer of Soul.
All right. Brian says, so he makes his snow cones out of yak milk. And also inquires who would win, the yak or Mark.
Oh, wait, Mark himself or John DuPont?
Thank you, Top Hat, for the room reference. I appreciate that. Oh, hi, Mark.
Which Mark? That's the thing. Mark Twain?
Was it? Well, when you're talking about Foxcatcher, it's confusing anyway, because you got to ask, is it Mark Ruffalo or Mark Schultz?
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get an answer to that in a second. Top Hat says Summer of Soul because it's on Disney Plus and has more accessibility to a wider audience.
I don't know how much that matters in documentary, does it?
That was honest.
Icarus was Netflix, wasn't it?
I think so.
Maybe it does.
Oh.
What beat the Hunting Ground? Or no, I'm thinking of Song. Never mind.
Let's see. Speaking of Attica, thoughts on Dog Day?
I love it.
I think it's another movie, if I remember correctly, if it's on, that's on Versus too.
Yeah, with Inside Man. Yeah, because I've done all the John Cazale movies.
Yep. Mark Schultz is who Brian's talking about.
Depends on which point in the movie.
That's fair.
The yak in the classroom looks pretty chill. So I think Mark could actually give it a headlock and just, put it out.
I just like how a random meme of the season ends up fighting other people during the Oscar prediction podcast. How it works on this show. Yeah, honestly, I want to go with Attica here, but my first inclination was Summer of Soul. And at the end of the day, when it comes to the shorts, like AJ mentioned before, they do go with the most like outlandish ones that are not easy to take. But I feel this is a year that that's not going to be a thing, and they're going to be a lot more like jovial with what they go with for a change. And I'm going to go with Summer of Soul as well.
Well, I think you can guess where that transitions us to.
Go ahead.
All right, let's go through the shorts and start with documentary. Where When We Were Bullies still evades me, but we have Audible, Lead Me Home, The Queen of Basketball, Three Songs for Benazir, and When We Were Bullies. I was basically narrowing it down to the three Netflix ones,
Okay.
even though I could easily see When We Were Bullies just to spite me winning. But I was thinking Lead Me Home at first. Excuse me. Um, and then I was leaning towards Three Songs for Benazir because, they could take to that boring shit.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's the groupie.
I don't even remember what was going on in it. They were like in a arranged marriage or something, and
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but I was thinking about, because at first I was dismissing Audible because I was gonna be like, are they only gonna want to celebrate kind of one deaf thing this year? For lack of a better way to put that.
That's the
But
way
then
to
I
put
was thinking about it, and it was like Audible has a lot of different elements to it that people love. It's got the deaf factor, but it's also got sports and it's got young love. Audible's kind of the full package.
Audible's really good too.
So just based on that and nothing else, I guess I could see them going with something like, the Benazir one, but I'm gonna go ahead and say Audible.
Ashley, what do you got?
Um, I went with Audible as well. Um, I just think. I mean, it's not it's obviously not the same because that was live action short, but the one from 2 years ago with the deaf girl,
Mhm.
I think it's sort of impactful, and like you say, it's not entirely about that. It's sort of a whole spread of things. Just that is the main theme throughout it, but yeah, I think it's the one that's shown up in a lot of people's lists as number one, so I'm sort of more inclined to go with that.
You know, chat real quick first. Summer Soul originally on Hulu, says Brian. Josie says, don't think accessibility with streaming is much of a factor with voters because AMPUS voters have a streaming app already. It's true. Top Hat says, we have to ask ourselves, where are they fighting? If it's in the classroom, the Yak has the home field advantage.
Oh, that's a good point.
Fair point. Yeah, but I think any of these characters that are facing the Yak are going to be more than willing to fight dirty, especially Cliff and Brandy. And Mark Schultz could like literally kill a man. So, and Cliff Booth did. So, needless to say,
Well, if you read the book, Cliff Booth killed about three or four.
you're not wrong. Let's say, oh wow, Brian says Mark or Cliff and Brandy.
Well, while Mark is an incredible athlete, Brandy's basically a weapon.
Yeah,
That's like bringing your fist to a gunfight.
it would probably end about the same way it did in Killer Joe. Actually, another movie I honestly think is going to come to Popcast Movie Club, most likely. Lorraine says I'll go with Three Songs for Benazir because it's the most poignant. Top Hat says Queen of Basketball because why not? Brian says
That's what I was thinking when I predicted Queen of Basketball for the nomination. It was like sometimes they go for simplicity, but I don't know, like simplicity as far as like not being heavy. like really heavy. But I don't know how often that stuff wins. Was
Yeah,
why I kind of strayed away from it, but it could.
Queen of Basketball jump to immediately. Um, it's definitely the one of the most heartwarming ones. It's a definite crowd pleaser. Got a huge pop when it was over. Not because it was ending, like other things we're going to talk about in this short in a few minutes, but because it was just very well done. Same with When We Were Bullied. Really liked it a lot, actually. Um, but at the end of the day, again, I feel like this is a year that Coda has proved that crowd pleasing works really well in multiple ways. And the story of Audible is just awesome anyway, because AJ said it checks all the boxes. When you got love, you have sports, you have deaf athletes in the year of deaf cinema. It writes itself. And
Really,
that's why,
really, I guess you could say the era of Death Cinema for following of Sound of Metal.
yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you right now, that's why I went with Melissa Simmons at the BAFTA and jobbed out because of that factor. I thought it might carry over there, but it didn't. But here, I feel that it will. And Audible is a crowd pleaser. It was the first one I watched that day, and yeah, it deserves to win, and I have no problems with it winning. I actually have a lot more to say about the shorts because a lot of stuff's still stuck in my head, whether I want it to or not in some cases. I'll talk about you later. I'll look at you.
Actually, we are right now.
Oh, God, no.
Anything else before we go to live action?
Go ahead.
All right.
This is actually my favorite of the lineups this year when it came to the things I like the most.
All right, for live action short, we have Alec to Take and Run, The Dress, The Long Goodbye, On My Mind, and Please Hold. Don't have much to base on this. Obviously, your first instinct is to say The Long Goodbye because you see a name you recognize, and you see a face you recognize, and somebody who is fresh off their first nomination.
Sure.
So why not? They win now. But sometimes name value doesn't matter in the shorts. There's quite a few people with name value that have won in the shorts, but there's also a lot of people that have been nominated with name value in the shorts that have lost.
Right, of course.
Brown comes to mind. Jeff Goldblum comes to mind. There's a whole slew of them. But I think I'm going to go that route, though. And I'm going to go ahead and say The Long Goodbye because not only is it a recognizable name and somebody who's fresh off their first nomination, but really powerful material told in pretty much the simplest way possible, I think could be really appealing.
Understatement there. What do you got, Ashley?
Yeah, unsurprisingly British skew here. I'm going with Long Goodbye. It's just a very, not having sort of lived through it myself, but like certainly looking at the whole ideal of the conflicts and everything that have gone up and the anti sentiment of stuff because of stuff like Brexit and everything. It's a story that needs to be told. We just saw I can't remember her name, but the actress that was in Suicide Squad and The Boys, apparently getting attacked for being Asian and whatever, and we've seen the rhetoric in various places, both politically and non-politically, of that sort of thing. And yeah, if it can be shone a light on from an album that was God knows how many years ago, because technically the single from it came out in like 2018, but the album itself was 2020, and I think the movie to go with it like came just about end of 2020. but was eligible for 2021. Yeah, I'm going with that British skew.
And one thing else I was gonna say was they also, because shorts are short, the more emotion based they are, it seems like the more likely they are also. So just based on the just like plot descriptions, I guess you'd call them, my second choice would have been On My Mind, but I'm sticking with the Long Goodbye. Yeah. So
Oh, I'll talk about this. Is my favorite of the shorts lineup. Actually, we'll talk about it in a minute. Lorraine says On My Mind is the only one I've seen, so I'm going with that by default. Josie says when or if Queen of Basketball wins, Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson should present with Jesse Plemons coming in behind saying, "When I played a bully."
I was gonna say, I love. If I remember correctly, Josie said she didn't see all of Mike. She just knows that Plemons is in it.
Yes.
The thing that makes this the funniest is that Plemons never plays basketball in the movie.
Nope. Top Hat says, how can Goodbye be long if nominated in short film? Should be short Goodbye. Honestly, jokes aside, Gabriel, at the end of the day, that's one of the shortest shorts I think we've seen this season. Because
in live action, for sure.
I mean, it goes from party to outside to Riz Ahmed rapping to the camera and then over. I mean, that's basically it without giving anything away. Apparently, my cat's escaping on BitLife right now, according to just the message I just got. So there you go. This comes across the screen. Josie says, alternatively, Trey Parker and Matt Stone could present Queen of Basketball. Ooh, thoughts on basketball? I love that movie.
Yeah, it gets shit, but oh my god, it is from start to finish. That movie is relentlessly funny.
So, fun fact, wearing my water park shirt from the last tour that they did. Said Summerfest, they're going to be opening Neck Deep State Amps, Mayday Parade. Really awesome concert lineup. Bring that up because when I went to Warped Tour, it was the first concert festival I ever went to. The first act I saw was Real Big Fish. And having video of them singing Beer was amazing. So yeah, I love basketball.
And that's one of those ones where whenever me and my brother are in the same place, there's going to be at least 10 or 20 baseball quotes thrown around.
Oh yeah, totally. Josie says, when my brother watched Sound of Metal, the part where his hearing is odd with the cochlear implant, he was like, I'd rather be deaf.
Yeah, that's pretty much the sentiment of the movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I can actually chime in on these shorts, and it's weird. These are the things that kind of resonate with me enough. Long Goodbye wouldn't be my choice. I feel that's what they're going to go with. On My Mind is great. It's really funny to start off, and then it becomes really poignant, like was mentioned by Lorraine a second ago. And the reason why he's trying to sing Always on My Mind in a random bar with karaoke and have it filmed is such a sad, poignant reason that I don't want to give away here if you need to check it out. I love Please Hold. I think Please Hold is great, but it's not something I see them going for. I think it's an awesome ideal with what's going on with how technology works. And yeah, we bring up Demolition Man all the time, and some for good reason. But at the end of the day, it very much gives me those vibes. And it's very interesting to see him trying to get a lawyer. And the only way he can do it is if he does like knitting. So he knits and puts the box back in, so he gets more money so he can afford the lawyer. And the lawyer finally gets a hold of him. And he's like, you're doing this? You should plead guilty. Bye. And then he just like kind of left his own devices for a minute until he just finally gets let out. I think the dress just, it's I'm not a fan of it at all. It seems like something in another year they probably would go for. I think go ahead.
The way you describe Please Hold also kind of reminds me of the robots in Elysium.
Yeah, totally. I love it though. I think Please Hold is so good. It's like dude's just chilling, walking around. The next thing you know is like You are under arrest. Why am I under arrest? You are under arrest. Please put the handcuffs on. And then it just goes from there. And I love Please Hold. I thought it was great. Alaka Chu is garbage and needs to die in a fire. I hate that short more than anything. And I know that's the point. You're supposed to root against the evils of the fact of, we talked about prearranged marriage before a few minutes ago. We're back into it again. And just her escaping. And then when she escapes, she gets brought back, kind of like a horror movie. And it's a real life horror movie because that's what's actually happening in the time. And then, of course, we have a message movie at the end. Basically, it's like this stuff happens all the time. I don't think they should draw any attention to this movie at all. It needs to not win anything. And yeah, I'm going to go with The Long Goodbye here. Not my choice, but yeah, I think that's where they're going.
And once again, even before we go into animated, not only do we do this because it's award season and we want to see who wins the prediction game, but we like to acknowledge and give credit to short filmmakers, unlike some other ceremony that these people are nominated at.
Dude, I just shoot longer than myself than they're going to get recognition on Sunday.
So, and yeah, and like I was talking about my buddy I was talking about yesterday, the guy that met Chris Rock by accident.
Yeah.
Is also a short filmmaker, and they're incredible. Like, what you can do with a short is insane, and what you can accomplish in such a short amount of time is insane, and should absolutely be celebrated. So once again, fuck you, this Oscar ceremony. So, speaking of, should we finish off the shorts?
Yes.
All right. Just letting you know right now, I chose this one totally at random.
Ooh.
I have reasoning for why I didn't choose one. I got nothing for the rest.
I got you. Don't worry. We're good. I got you on this.
So we have Affairs of the Art, Bestia, Box Ballet, Robin, and The Windshield Wiper. The only one I ruled out was Affairs of the Art because I thought it was really interesting that it lost BAFTA.
Deservingly so.
I mean, the fact that it got into BAFTA could still be a sign it could win, but
yeah,
I found it interesting enough that it lost, that I decided to go with something else. So based on, I saw Robin and The Windshield Wiper, and I could see it being either one of the... Robin would be the boring choice. Windshield Wiper would be a pretty inspired choice. But I went with neither of those either. I just gambled on one of the ones I hadn't seen, so I said Box Ballet.
I like your style, good sir. Ashley, what do you got?
Something I need to clarify. What are the animation styles of the 5?
What the hell do you call what Affairs of the Art is? I mean, it appears to be hand-drawn, but...
It's definitely hand-drawn.
Bestia looks like stop motion, maybe?
Yeah,
the pictures I've seen.
Dolls, actually. Or maybe like garden gnomes? Like Chinese nesting dolls mixed with garden gnomes? Because obviously like the crack midway through and everything. I don't want to think about Bestia. That movie's oof.
I mean, I know Robin, but like Box Ballet and Windshield Wiper, like...
Is Box Ballet probably the most traditionally animated, maybe? I didn't get a good look at it.
Yeah, it's definitely the most traditional one.
And then the Windshield Wiper is that computer animation, maybe?
Yeah.
These are all guesses, by the way. I don't know shit about animation.
You're not wrong.
That's interesting. I was going to say Robin. Instead, I'm going to go with the Annies and say Bestia.
God, the movie's terrible. But I'm not the one predicting this, so yeah, Bestia works. So you guys had to go with the bees, right? So that's what we're gonna stick with. I did see these. I hate Affairs of the Art. As a matter of fact, I mean, I probably put it in one of my worst movies of the year at this point. It's very inspired, but I mean, I didn't watch any bad stuff really this year. Not anything that's traditionally bad, honestly.
You saw Being the Ricardos.
House of Gucci and Nightmare Alley.
I thought you were gonna retort and say Dune. Oh, hang
No,
on,
no.
you don't hate it.
Well, yeah, but that's.
And by the way, House of Gucci and Nightmare Alley are both better than Being the Ricardos.
I don't agree with that.
When we started this, I said Being the Ricardos to fuck with you, but I sincerely say House of Gucci and Nightmare Alley are better.
I don't agree with that, but I understand.
Being the Ricardos is probably maybe better than Don't Look Up, but even that I don't know.
I'll get my last view
At
on
least,
find out.
at least it's not infinite.
I don't like that.
Don't Look Up has something going for it that Being Ricardos doesn't have. Don't Look Up is not boring. You can say that about it.
But I didn't think Being the Ricardos was boring either, so. So Bestia, I don't like. Robin is super boring. I did like Box Ballet a lot. But before we go any further, I think I just kind of called my shot. But okay, Josie says, love basketball. Never saw Orgasmo. Did any of you ever see it? Yes.
Yeah, Orgasmo also has a video. We did it with Bowfinger.
Yep. Orgasmo's really, really great too. Trey and Matt are great together.
Orgasmo is one of the dumbest fucking movies ever made. But I still kind of, you gotta really be in line with their sense of humor to get into it. But if you can get your mind there, it's kind of amazing.
Weirdly enough, when I watched it, I kind of got like the vibe of what the Book of Mormon would end up becoming.
Yeah,
like a little bit of that. So I was definitely seeing that in obviously the alter ego character of Orgasmo. So there was a vibe there, so it made sense. Love to see
literally the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Love to see Parker and Stone do another live action movie. Yeah, Josie, that'd be great. I'd be down with that.
Yeah, I heard that they don't like basketball. They didn't like doing it, and they didn't like how it turned out. But I think it's hilarious.
Top Hat says Robin seems like the front runner. I don't. I guess I'm just like very lukewarm on Aardman. I always have been. I don't know why. Just kind of just a thing. Except for like a couple things like the Pirates, which I still like that movie a lot. Amir Johnson, welcome. Says, I agree, Robin better win. I hope not, but it could happen. You never know. Top Hat says, hashtag present all 23. Yes. Lorraine says, I want to go with Affairs of the Art. It's too alienating. That's an understatement, Lorraine. I will go with Robin. And Josie says, back to my pairings. Evolution and Don't Look Up.
That's interesting.
I like that, actually. The only other option would have been Biodome.
Yeah, because I did Evolution with Galaxy Quest.
Yep.
And I always kind of regretted that one because I felt like there was a better choice, and I never came up with it.
Right. So Josie also calls it a superior sci-fi comedy with Julianne Moore. Yes, I like Evolution a lot, actually.
And Ivan Reitman did that movie.
Yes. But what I said about the shorts aside, I'm going to go with it, and it makes sense. It's an inspired choice, and it inspired me in a different way. I'm going to go with the windshield wiper here. It's what should win. It's what I want to win. But, honestly, I'm with AJ on this. I'd love to see Box Ballet win. It's the only other one I really took to when it came to animated.
Before we go on, while we're on the topic of do all 23, I got really, really hyped for about 2 seconds when I saw a headline recently, and then I realized what it said. Mind you, I still love this person with all my heart. I really do.
Okay.
But I was a tad let down by something that Chastain said. Where when I read the headline, what it sounded like was she was saying, in solidarity with her makeup crew, because her makeup crew is pretty likely to win, but they're not gonna win properly.
Right.
They're off to the side in these, oh, we don't give a fuck about you anymore categories. Apparently, what Chastain actually said was, in solidarity with them, she was gonna skip the red carpet. What I initially thought she said for about 2 seconds was she was skipping the ceremony entirely. And the fact that she's the front runner, that would have been a big statement.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But she just said she's going to skip the red carpet.
I mean, I'm gonna play devil's advocate right now. How's she getting in the theater? They're just gonna bring her in the back door like it's like Broadway.
I don't know.
I've been there before. I know that there's not many ways to get in and out of that place. So, actually, there's a really good parking garage you could use because we used it too. So yeah, that could work. It gets you good access to the Hard Rock Cafe right next door to it as well.
All right, are we ready for another one that hopefully is quick?
I hope so.
Visual effects. Where we have Dune, Free Guy for some reason, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi, and No Way Home. Is there a universe where it's not Dune? I feel like that in another year, it could have been Spider-Man.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah. I feel like this is pretty clean cut. I hope.
Ashley, do you concur?
Yeah, because I want to say No Time to Die, but just to like really stir things up. But I think there's enough. There's enough work gone into it, you know.
We are in a post Ex Machina world where a shocker can happen in this category.
Yeah, but Ex Machina still had quite a bit of CGI to obviously CGI out Vikander and everything. And obviously a lot of No Time to Die's special visual effects are practical visual effects rather than, graphical ones. At the same time, I really want to say Spider-Man No Way Home because those fuckers got absolutely shafted. That's the only reason why it took so long for the trailers to come out, is because they were basically having to work, 20-hour week or 20-hour days somewhat. I was gonna say 20-hour weeks, 20-hour days, just to be able to like get it all done and processed in post-production, because there was that much work that needed to be done. So honorary, it should be them, but it's probably going to be Doom.
It would also serve to pacify everybody that wanted to see Spider-Man take home an Oscar. And although I really, 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 really want to go for Spider-Man here, I know that something that I bagged on last night and will continue to do is definitely not the consensus at all. And yeah, there is no literal competition here. This is Dune all day, every day. But, to the chat. Brian says that means Chastain will interact with Guillermo.
Yeah.
Then again, if Jimmy Kimmel isn't hosting, will he even be there?
Yeah, I think he's usually there. I'm pretty sure he's usually there.
Top Act calls it the Best Dune Award.
Yeah, Guillermo was there last year because I remember his interaction with Riz Ahmed.
Sonic 2 Best VFX 2023. Let's go, baby! This is Top Hat. Lorraine says, I think if someone wanted to, they could make the argument Dune could lose effects to the Miss Director when that seemed like an obvious nomination, so they aren't hot for it. Enough to give it double-digit nominations, Lorraine.
Well, previous precedents on the VFX, if we need to bring it up, is
If you're gonna
Dune, and Last Night in Soho, which isn't even in it.
Go ahead, AJ. You were gonna say.
if I were to pair up director with a category, it would be cinematography rather than something like visual effects.
Especially when you look at how many,
Mhm.
what was it, 2 or 3 out of the 5 last year that were cinematographers were also like the directors as well, or like near as close to. Because Zhao pretty much was, even though it was given to the I can't remember the name, but there's a lot of cinematography in, obviously, with the director's vision.
Yeah, and then Quaron with Roma.
Right. Brian says, honestly, I think the reason why Spider-Man got in is for the mirror dimension scene.
That probably had a lot to do with it. Yeah,
I'd say
That's
so.
I'd say really anything throughout, because Sandman wasn't as impressive in this as he was in Spider-Man 3, but he wasn't as prominent here, so that probably has something to do with that.
Also true. Brian says to Top Hat, Avatar 2. Yeah, we'll get there someday. Josie says, to your point, Ashley, about visual effects workers working really hard, part of why I hate the shutting out of certain categories is disrespect towards the IATSE.
Remember all the stuff that went down with the Life of Pi guys?
Oh, God, yes, I do actually. Josie says, remember they did almost go and strike back in the fall.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And Top Hat, Brian, you must also remember Toby was 100% CGI. The real Toby still doesn't know he's in the movie. Josie says, not to mean to trigger Owen, but I can see Dune pull a Chicago or Gladiator and win without a director or screenplay win. No. But, I mean, I admire your persistence, Josie, especially for being on my side last night and being a kind soul trying to change the subject every 5 minutes while AJ was trying to throw me under the hot coals. So...
It would be a perfect world for that to happen. But then again, in a perfect world, Villeneuve and Cohen would have been nominated. So, yeah.
Oh, and yeah, Licorice Pizza for me would actually be contending for things. For me. Andrew Garfield would be sweeping the actor race. And some of these nominations that have gone through the entire run wouldn't even be here. So we are moving on.
All right, to sound.
That's what it appears to be.
All right, I will go slowly. Here we go. The nominees for sound. Oh, my Garth's coming out a little bit. The nominees for sound.
Sound are Dune and a bunch of other things.
we got Belfast. We got Dune. We got No Time to Die. We got The Power of the Dog, and we've got West Side Story. Yeah. So, I really had to think about this one because musicals can do really well here. Bond has a history in this category.
You're correct.
It was a tie, but he still got it. And it makes you get suspicious that it almost seems like No Time to Die is dying to get a tech win, and it could be this. And Belfast, Power of the Dog, we've said it's very crucial to the movie. We've gone into that in detail. Belfast is one of those things where I said I wasn't really thinking about it as a sound contender until you were talking about it playing in like the big theaters specifically for that, which I would have loved to have experienced.
It was right before Batman, and between Batman and The Godfather. So yeah, Belfast was right before that.
So before I landed on Dune, like I did, it was No Time to Die that I was really considering seriously.
Yep.
But the thing that talked me into Dune was all the different aspects of Dune's sound that stand out. Like not just the mixing in general, obviously, but then you've got stuff like the shields and the voice. And there's a lot. It's one of those cases where it's got so much going on in this. Like you say, like yeah, it's visual effects, and it's got a lot of visual effects, and yeah, it's sound because there's a lot of sound going on. But when you look at the specifics of what those things are, it's a lot, and it adds so much to the big picture of everything. So that's why I landed on Dune here, though. I feel like No Time to Die is just sort of waiting to capture this, but I'm sticking with Dune.
Ashley, what do you got for best sound?
I guess it's basically the same thing running in my head. It's just the coins flipped the other way in my direction. So yeah, I've got No Time to Die.
So Josie says, with how much PTA loves Altman, I would love to see his version of MASH or something inspired by it.
That'd be wild.
I'd like make it happen.
Yeah, because you can kind of see Altman's style of comedy in PTA's comedy.
Yep.
Not just his ensembles and the way he shoots.
Top Hat sounds like a lot of hoopla to me. Hoopla. Josie says an ensemble hospital.
Whoa. Did you, Owen, just make a SpongeBob reference?
Oh, that's not what I know it from.
I mean that in itself is a sweet victory.
SpongeBob reference.
I don't know how you know that, but that's definitely a SpongeBob reference. The Krusty Krab training video.
I know it from the Adventurers Club, actually.
I don't know what that is.
It's Pleasure Island. It was back in the long, long ago, in the way before times when Disney still cared about people. Anyway, in a minute.
Brian, leading brand.
Yes. Owen almost did his Randy Newman impression. I'll get there, Brian. Don't worry. now it's been brought up.
The jungle out there.
Yo, people got no reason to live. There you go. Okay. I love LA. Anyway, reminds me, I haven't heard You Got a Friend in Me in like forever, and it sucks because I haven't gone to the parks because of the award season. I've started doing that next month. Ever seen Robert Altman's The Player with Tim Robbins?
Oh my god, I just rewatched it last year, and it is incredible. That was another one I was going to bring up where we were talking about what are we going to talk about when we start doing our movie club thing. That was one of the first ones that came to mind for me. I would love to talk about it.
Well, speaking of that, what other Altman movies have you seen?
Most of the bigger question would be which ones I haven't, which is still, I feel like, an embarrassing amount. Because he's got a long ass filmography.
I'm looking at them right now.
One that I always wanted to see that I never saw was Streamers. I'm very interested in, and I've been dying to rewatch McCabe and Mrs. Miller forever. Yeah, I've only maybe not seen a few of these. Some of them are absolute shit. Like Ready to Wear is not great, and Dr. T is not great.
Dr. T is not.
I never care. I love Paul Dooley and everything, but I never care for Popeye either.
I Popeye a lot.
Do you know? While we're on the topic of him, oh no, never mind. I'm thinking of something else. Strike that. Oh yeah, I said Josie brought up California Split once. I have not seen that, and I would love to.
Yeah, so let's see. Brian says The Piano and Shortcuts. Josie says Supercuts and Nashville were big influences on Magnolia. Yeah, Shortcuts, right. Magnolia, 100%.
Yeah, Shortcuts, you can definitely tell.
Brian's like, hoopla! Josie, want to get ready up, get Tom Kenny and Bill F., I can't say his last name, to present a SpongeBob and Patrick.
You can't say Foggerbalky? Oh, you can't pronounce it. Is that what you're saying?
There we go.
Okay. I thought you were saying Josie said she couldn't say.
She did.
Oh, she did. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's Foggerbalky. Is that so hard?
Foggerbucky.
Ask Snoop Dogg.
True.
He butchered Villeneuve's name worse than I have ever done in a million years. So it's funny because AJ knows, because I've had this conversation with him tonight after I got done with my run. I called him. We talked about something which we're going to get into in a bit. But he knows I've already pre-made my selections, so I'm not stepping on any toes. I don't know what he went with. I don't know what Ashley went with. I know what I went with. And we talked about like the numbers of what we gave certain movies. And he knows something I'm going to do later in tonight that's kind of like out there, but we'll get there. A while away. But as you start to see the awards tick down, you'll understand what I mean. But for some reason, I'm giving Dune a few. We could put it that way. It's not getting anywhere near what it could get. But this is one of the ones I got away from Dune. And AJ brought it up already, and Ashley kind of stole my topic thunder here. But at the end of the day, it looks like I'm copying, but AJ knows I'm not. I'm also going to go No Time to Die for Best Sound.
So did Ashley say No Time to Die?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Although I can
Brian,
easily see it being Dune. It's like, if anything else takes it, I'll be pleasantly surprised.
I will say right now that if you look at my possible predictions of that category, the only thing I have listed on sound is Dune as a possible spoiler.
And if West Side Story takes it, I'll be violently surprised.
Having seen it twice, I'd be okay with that, but we'll get there in a minute. Brian says, wanted to see Nashville, but now it's been discounted on Criterion, and it's on Paramount Presents, so I gotta wait.
Its Criterion cover is amazing, and fucking Nate Parker stole it for his Birth of a Nation poster.
Oh, man. Don't discount West Side Story for sound. Brian, I'm not going to discount West Side Story for anything right now. We got bit hard this season for doing that. And we are moving on.
Speaking of Randy Newman.
Yes.
Let's do the category he's taken a couple of times. It's a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
Song. Okay, wait. Hold on, I gotta get Altman's filmography out of here. Okay. All right.
I'm keeping track of everything.
All right. We have Be Alive from King Richard, Dos Oruguitas from Encanto, Down to Joy from Belfast, No Time to Die from No Time to Die, and Somehow You Do from Four Good Days. I can never remember that title. It's a weird order to put those words in.
Sure.
So I feel like we're down to 2, right?
Yeah.
This seemed like the Beyonce award 2 or 3 months ago.
We really thought immediately it was going to be the Beyonce award, and slowly but surely, she not only ended up out of the front runner position, she's not even in the conversation anymore. And she went Sunday, so null and void what I just said.
So we got Billie Eilish and Phineas versus Miranda getting his EGOT.
God dang. But it's for the wrong song. That's the problem. That's the reason why it's very hard to go with it.
Well, that's what we were saying. That's what Miranda was talking about, where it's like they submit the songs way in advance before the movies even come out. And it's that thing where he just picked the one that encapsulated the movie the most.
Right.
And you have no idea which one's going to break out and be the gigantic hit. Especially when you've got a soundtrack this fucking amazing.
Accurate.
Any of the songs on the soundtrack would fit here. If we were still in that area where you could get multiple songs in, Encanto would be all this category is. It would be these 4 and No Time to Die, probably. 4 of these and No Time to Die.
That sounds about right.
So I have to decide if I'm going to go with what I want versus what we've been seeing, because Miranda getting his EGOT seems like a given narrative. That's a narrative on a silver platter if ever there was one. But Eilish and Phineas keep winning shit.
Yep.
And as we've seen with Sam Smith, they seem to have gotten very lazy with just go with the Bond song. We're not even going to think about it. Just go with the Bond song. That's what Writings on the Wall's win feels like. Still, to this day, felt like it then. It feels like it now.
Yep.
So, this might be one of those times that I don't typically like to do, where I'm gonna go with something because I just fucking want it to happen.
Sure.
We talked about the fact that, because think about it. Yeah, you know, Encanto is a phenomenon, like we talked about, and its soundtrack by itself is a phenomenon. Billie Eilish and Phineas are also a phenomenon, but this song isn't. Not in that way, anyway. So, with Miranda, it feels like you're getting both him and the full package of what he brought to the movie winning, versus Billie Eilish and Phineas winning because of who they are, is what it feels like to me. Am I wrong?
No, but there's a narrative for everything here.
So, with those two options, I'm gonna say, and hope, Miranda.
Okay. Ask you what he was.
And one more thing to add to that is them adding Bruno to the performance means they're putting thought into Miranda's contributions to this fucking category.
I mean, you've got to go with the obvious one. Diane Warren. Yeah, it's never gonna win. Come on.
Please tell me you're serious.
Yes, I am going with Diane Warren. Because
Excellent.
it's the Roger Deakins moment. Eventually, it's gonna be right. And considering how it's a lost cause this year, this is the flag that I'm sticking in the moon, and we're flying it to the moon.
Well, then. Wow. Like one of us is getting a point then.
Unless it's Beyonce.
That's the one King Richard that we can rule out at this point.
I don't know. Depending if he has to take a COVID test, Van Morrison might not have to no-show.
We'll get to that. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Top Hat says, Encanto's popularity was still pretty high during voting. I'm going to go with Dos Oruguitas. Brian says, I want Down to Joy to win, or Lynn to get his EGOT. We talked about this, I think, last night, kind of like on an off topic, but Josie also mentioned, speaking of Bond and No Time to Die, Darby O'Gill and the Little People was what got Sean Connery the Bond role.
That's wild.
Top Hat says, that's why they're going to perform We Don't Talk About Bruno, because it would have won if it was nominated. Yeah, probably. Way too much visibility. There's no way it's not going to. Josie says, I remember liking Emma Stone's audition in La La Land better than City of Stars. Yeah, I was big on that too, actually. And I love City of Stars. That audition was so much better.
I still think it's hilarious that one of the best songs in La La Land is the John Legend song when it's supposed to be
yes.
it's supposed to be the bad sellout song. I don't remember. I still have Start a Fire in my head a little bit. I couldn't tell you a fucking word of City of Stars apart from City of Stars.
And me
That is one of the most boring song choices they've gone with in a long time. Fucking fuck La La Land. I am so glad it got fucking. I am so glad La La Land got humiliated. I'm gonna be. It didn't. La La Land didn't lose. It got humiliated. Do you remember when? Oh God, what's the producer's name? Dee Dee Gardner was giving her speech for Moonlight, and she said, "And I think the La La Land crew is still here." Oh no, they're gone, and the crowd laughed.
Part of me is
I'm so
thinking this was the ammunition you were going to use yesterday regarding Doom. Wow.
Why am I even here?
That's why.
I can't tell if you're saying that because of the La La Land discussion or something you read in the chat.
Why am I even here?
That's what happens when City of Stars comes up.
I mean, I don't hate that. I don't agree with that. I thought it was a very good song. I don't even remember the John Legend one because it was John Legend. He was like in the film for like 4 minutes.
I was going to add to what Brian said also about Van Morrison is it does suck to compliment Van Morrison, but Down to Joy is a really good film.
Like I said, they missed an opportunity having Bruce Springsteen perform it.
That would have been perfect. I would have loved to have seen that.
All right. Brian says No Time to Die wins. We make a campaign to make the Academy get rid of the original song category. No, I like the performances.
It's did I clarify something that I said after BAFTA? I can't remember. I thought about it, but I can't remember if I ever said it out loud. How I had said that they should get rid of the song category, and I guess the next one you should put in is that stunt category everybody wants.
Right.
But no, I'm on BAFTA side with this. Casting director should be the next ones that get one.
That's fair. Let's see. Josie says, remember Man or Muppet 10 years ago? Only 2 nods that year. Yeah. That was a short list of original song categories.
Yeah, because Life's a Happy Song was supposed to be the one that everybody took to, and
Yep.
I last I heard, we still don't know how that even happened, that whole 2 nominees thing.
Lorraine says, I won't vote against the Bond song. I just won't do it. Yeah, same. Josie says, hypothetically, if Diane Warren were to win, she could dedicate her award to Glenn Close.
Oh,
I mean, it's giving Reba an Oscar, which I'm totally fine with.
We're talking about the fact that Glenn Close still hasn't won, right? Like, we didn't just lose Glenn Close in the last 2 hours, did we?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, good.
Okay. We're gonna get away from that topic, please. Speaking of Glenn Close, thoughts on Fatal Attraction and Adrian Lynn. Did anybody see Deep Water yet? I have not.
It will be getting reviewed tomorrow.
Oh.
Adrian, I know your Adrian Lyne movie of choice.
Yep.
I do like Fatal Attraction.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another case. We were talking about years we'd like to go back and see.
Sure.
I feel like I would have loved to have seen a movie like that become the phenomenon that it did. I'm saying phenomenon a lot in this video, but that's just the area we're in, I guess.
Sure.
Because how I love those kind of, when we talk about those cheesy thrillers, Fatal Attraction's like the parent of those. And so to see one of those like go to like massive acclaim and get all those Oscar nominations, and be the big thing that it was, must have been really wild. I would love to see that in real time.
I'll mention them because they're in chat, guys. But please stop on the La La Land beating. I'm done with it. I'm seriously done with it.
I didn't mean to start the fire.
And John Legend already did. It's fine. I guess City of Stars isn't shining down on him, says Top Hat. And Josie said,
that's right.
La La Land lost sportsmanship. The only thing I that night I want to think about at this point is the reason that I moved here. 100%. In another world, that my movie got screwed out of Best Picture is why I moved to Florida. That's not a real truth, but that's the bizarro answer of why I moved here. But in actuality, it was the last award season AJ and I had enjoying together watching the actual show itself before I moved here. Like literally the night after I literally moved to Orlando.
Is that the one where the costume guy won the jet ski?
Yes.
That's all I remember from that year. That's him.
That was the next year. That was 2017.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was already here. Never mind.
The thing about the general uncomfortableness during the La La Land Moonlight thing was, yeah, it's a lot of the praise went to Jordan Horowitz because of how gracious he was to say, you know, these are my friends from Moonlight, and I'm happy to give it to them. And he tried to sort it out as best he could. I cannot imagine having to be in that situation. And that was a great way to do that the way that he did, and as quickly as he could. Like the other guy said, we lost, by the way, and Horowitz was the one that jumped in and said, we got to do this. Great, we got to just hand it over to them and be on our way because that's the best way to do this and the most gracious way to do this. But even being in that situation, Horowitz was still this very uncomfortable mixture of humble and aggressive.
Yeah.
I think that was the most uncomfortable part.
Good done with that. Ron says no, it was Adele Romansky. Dee Gardner was not there.
What was that?
That's what Brian said. It was Adele Romansky. Dee Gardner was not there.
Okay.
Speaking of Fatal Attraction, says Josie, favorite erotic thrillers. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of great ones, but AJ probably knows where I'm going to go with this. The one that comes to mind immediately is Fear.
Yeah, does it count?
It's listed, so I'm going to say yes.
See, I know it's cheesy, but Basic Instinct is great.
Great.
Oh, Eyes Wide Shut is listed here. That's a great choice.
Cruel Intentions.
I was getting ready to say that. I noticed. Oh, I found the winner. I found the fucking winner. But before I say that, yeah, the thing about erotic thrillers is that there's some great ones, but there's a lot of they're like 80 to 90% shit.
Yep.
And the winner that I see is fucking Bound. Bound is incredible. Yeah. I love it.
Excellent. I agree 100%.
It is. That movie's so badass.
So this is the second time we've talked about Jennifer Tilly in 2 nights, so we're talking about 2 completely different performances. I do not think that character was a rocket scientist.
It's not really erotic enough, even though it does get steamy in places, but the remake of Thomas Crown Affair...
It's listed in here.
Oh. I wouldn't say it was erotic forever. I mean, it was a
Top
15. So...
What was that?
Top Hat says B movie.
Wow.
Is that meme still alive?
Apparently. If not, Gabriel's trying to bring it back. When I was watching that live, I thought it was a tie. Brian, stop. We're done. I can't do this anymore. I've already been raked across the coals way too much.
Yeah, when Jordan Horowitz said Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture, I thought it was you guys were so good. We just want to acknowledge you are our equals right now. Like, you are that good. Like, he was singling out Moonlight as we loved you as a fellow nominee. And then what happened.
Dude, it was like when Lex Luger hit the running forearm on Kurt Hennig at WrestleMania, and I cried because I thought Mr. Perfect was hurt. So yeah, it gave that vibe.
Another detail that I love. I'm sorry to still be on. Is talking about the idea of La La Land being humiliated. Samuel L. Jackson had a very honest interview around that time before the ceremony, and he was bashing La La Land, saying he made it 20 minutes in and he turned it off, and he thought it was a piece of shit. And then, after Moonlight took the stage and La La Land left, there's a cut of Samuel L. Jackson in the crowd recording with his phone, and he wipes a tear away. Do you think he was moved to tears because he was proud of Moonlight, or just see La La Land humiliated brought him such joy? I've always wondered that.
Other options that are listed here, something we mentioned already today, Ex Machina technically is listed as one.
Okay.
It's got nudity. I don't know that I call it erotic.
Black Swan is listed.
Yeah.
Mulholland Drive.
Oh yeah.
Cronenberg's Crash.
I need to rewatch Cronenberg's. I watched it way back in the day before I even knew it had a good reputation. I think even before it got its good reputation, it was still considered shit at the time I saw it. But God, the following it's gotten now has me really curious to get back to it and see what the hell's going on.
Speaking of deep water, and I said this originally, I said this to you when I saw the first trailer, when I heard about this movie, I thought it was Affleck doing Color of Night. How far from that is the actual movie versus, or am I dead on that?
Well, the time I was gonna watch it was when this live was over, so I'll get back to you on that.
Fair. Josie says, imagine if Sam Elliott enjoy when Power, yeah, there's no if. When Power of the Dog loses, if he attends the Oscars. Yeah, he's going to toast with that cold sarsaparilla, of course.
I would assume he won't be there, but if he is, I really hope whenever he runs into Campion is caught on camera, because I want to see that awkwardness.
Author of the Crash novel wrote the book of Empire of the Sun, Spielberg's version.
That's random.
Oh, I mean, we
Yeah.
do have random
G.
things.
Ballard.
I mean, I like it. It keeps the show flowing. Empire of the Sun or Hope and Glory?
I have a vague memory of Empire of the Sun. Hope and Glory kind of stuck with me, so I would say that.
All right.
I remember seeing young Ben Stiller in it, and that really threw me off. Empire of the Sun. That really threw me off.
I think on that note, we go to score.
Yeah, we do. Which, once again, feels like at one point or another would have been more of a race.
Yeah.
And I went into this thinking, how do we know Dune's a front runner? Because I feel like Zimmer's always here, but he's always losing.
Yeah.
So I wonder what has us so sure. And then I looked at the lineup, and I don't know what his competition would be. We've got Don't Look Up, Dune, Encanto, Parallel Mothers, and Power of the Dog. Well, Power of the Dog, much like sound, the score really plays like a crucial part in it, like more so than usual.
Mm-hmm.
Parallel Mothers, I guess, is hanging out.
Happy to be nominated.
And I've been praising Bertel for quite some time now, but I feel like if Zimmer's threatened by anybody, it's Encanto.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the only thing I can.
That used to be the Disney thing back in like the 90s, was they always took song and score.
Yep.
Of course, score was split up for a time period back then, but so yeah, it seems like it's clearly Zimmer, but because I don't know who the second choice would be, honestly. It could be Greenwood, or it could be Encanto. I have no idea. But I don't think it's Parallel Mothers or Don't Look Up. So.
No. Ashley, best original score.
Dune.
Yeah, I don't even need to go into this, and there's no point to. It's just gonna prolong the inevitable. Dune wins this.
Yes. Zimmer and his fucking bagpipes. I cannot wait to see this victory. Oh yeah, that's right. We won! I'm sorry, continue.
It's gonna win enough, don't worry. Top Hat
I
said,
just love the
"Dude,
fact that he.
dude."
I just love the fact that he did the going for gold thing. That's his magnum opus. That is.
Actually, Josie says thoughts on Prince of Egypt's score. She says it's criminally underrated.
That's another. I feel like I'm getting redundant here.
Isn't the film
I saw
criminally
the Prince of-
underrated?
What's that?
Isn't the film itself criminally underrated?
It might have been at one point.
Not now.
I saw it in the theater when I was like 7 or 9, somewhere in there. And of course, when you're 7 or 9 and you're going to an animated movie, The Prince of Egypt's not what you're expecting. And that's my only memory of it. I have a copy of it with full intent to rewatch, and I haven't done that yet. So I'm hoping I find this, because I feel like I see praise for it constantly now. So especially in like the Easter area. So probably like next month I will try to revisit it and see what's going on there.
Okay. Sad we're not going to see Zimmer get a standing ovation live. I don't think when it happens, they're not going to have a clipski of that to air, because that seems like something that'd be perfect for an Oscar telecast if they're going to promote something like that.
That's if they're going. I still haven't heard like whether the boycott thing is actually still happening.
Who knows? Josie says there's a track on the Power of the Dog soundtrack called Best Friends. Not that Best Friends, sadly. It sounds like Reborn from Hereditary.
Ooh.
Prince of Egypt rules, says Josephine. Surprised he never made it to verses, actually. Could happen someday, you never know. One of my friend's dads plays the bagpipes, says Josie.
Nice. They're an underrated instrument. They're like the accordion. They're famous for being annoying, but if you know how to do them, they're incredible.
And this is coming from Weird Al, Mark. Yeah, I totally appreciate both instruments. And it reminds me of Mike Myers, and So I Married an Axe Murderer, singing Do You Think I'm Sexy? Of that every single time. That's another movie I can honestly see us talking about eventually.
The scene alone with the kid with the big head.
Heat! Paper! Now!
You can tell Anthony LaPaglia is laughing for real, and it's amazing.
It's like Sputnik. Yeah, I can watch some movies all day, every day, but I don't know the existence of most things I watched in like 2010. So needless to say,
that was a bit harsh, wasn't it? He'll be crying himself to sleep tonight on his huge pillow.
Yes.
I'm guessing we're heading back into the text now then after the dip out of the music.
Please God.
This one is tricky. A little tricky. It could be. As soon as I find where the hell it is on here. Makeup.
Okay.
Coming to America, Cruella, Dune, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, and House of Gucci. First off, the only one I'm ruling out is Cruella.
Yeah, this is not its award to win.
Coming to America took the Guild, and Mike Marino has been in the press mentioned in the press a lot lately because he did Colin Farrell in The Batman, and Colin Farrell has been saying his name in every single interview.
But
well, they could be saying, if that has any effect, they could be saying, "Oh man, that guy's incredible. We got to give it to him," or they could be saying, "We'll skip this year. We can probably give it to him next year." Then we have Tammy Faye and House of Gucci and Dune. Dune stands out because of the Harkonnens, specifically Skarsgård, and I guess Dastmalchian to an extent as well. But Skarsgård, I feel like is the big standout as far as clear makeup the way that we know it when things are a front runner in this category. So you could look at Tammy Faye and House of Gucci and say I guess there's makeup throughout Gucci, but you're mainly looking at Chastain and Tammy Faye, and you're mainly looking at Leto in Gucci.
Right.
Whereas with Dune, you're looking at a whole race of characters, which could come into play. But and Dune's always possible in a tech category.
Definitely.
I'm starting to second guess the choice.
Oh,
I said Tammy Faye based on the fact that Chastain's the front runner and actress, and she could bring it with her. And it'd be like a very logical joint kind of win, her and her team. And she's been very upfront about her team. Like, didn't we see that she was literally with her makeup team in that Instagram video when she realized she got nominated?
yeah, I believe so.
So I wrote down Tammy Faye. I could say Gucci, but it's Gucci's only nomination. And it doesn't seem to have gotten the. It's not as prominent anymore after these Tammy Faye wins, plus Dune always being a possibility in any tech category.
Sure.
I'm really tempted to change to Dune right now, but I have Tammy Faye written down. So, to keep myself from making a big mistake, I'm just going to stick with what I wrote. So I'm going to say Tammy Faye.
Ashley.
Coming to America.
Nice.
I think there's enough in that because it's multiple characters that are having to look different rather than multiple characters that look somewhat the same because of the race, or really it's predominantly Tammy Faye and to some extent her husband that are the big features of the makeup and hair for that, and House of Gucci's practically just fat suit letter.
I think I'm not positive. I feel like D'Onofrio might have some makeup as well in Tammy Faye, but I'm not sure.
Alright. Well, let's see. Top Hat says Mike Myers and Cat in the Hat singing "There Was This Cat I Knew Back Home Where I Was Bred." Correct? Josie says the makeup in Darby O'Gill was pretty remarkable for the time. Imagine a Dr. Seuss-like picture book by the Riddler, the Catwoman in the Hat.
Oh my god.
Isn't that what Paul Dano actually wrote?
Top Hat says going with Tammy Faye, but I really can believe Coming to America can pull a surprise. Yeah, Top Cat. Top Hat, we're definitely 100% on the same page. Top Cat was a TV series. Anyway, continue.
What are you trying to say there, Owen?
To add to what Ashley was saying about Coming to America, there's also the case of where you have like the guys in the barber shop.
Sure.
And it's how like in the original movie that was already makeup, and now you've had to age these pre-existing designs already through the gap between the movies. And then, like I was saying before, I can't draw enough attention to the fact that the witch doctor I had no idea was Arsenio for a very long time, and that was kind of incredible.
Fair. So yeah, Top Hat, we're on the same page here, 100%. So yeah, I'm also, in this case, going with the Eyes of Tammy Faye. I feel there's a potential, not giving my hand away, 1-2 punch for the Eyes of Tammy Faye, but I'm not going to discount Coming to America at all. It's the one I think that could upset easily. So yeah, I'm not necessarily comfortable with it, but I'm more comfortable with this than others and less comfortable than others, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with.
Here's one that's been pretty easy all season.
Costume design.
Yes, where we have... Come on, where are you? There you are. Cruella, Cyrano, Dune, Nightmare Alley, West Side Story. In another time, I would have chalked this up as another Dune victory. But then because it was one of those things where it's like you think about, oh, Disney live action movies do so well and it's about costumes, and you think early on, oh yeah, Cruella's for sure getting nominated here. And then it's only later that you realize, oh yeah, this is probably going to win. Fucking Alice in Wonderland won this. Like it's Disney live action does very a lot, depending on your definition of live action is for in Alice in Wonderland's case, but certainly here. So yeah, and I think it not only is it the fact that Disney has a good track record here, and it's a movie about costume design, but the costumes are the standout of the entire movie. Like I do not care for Cruella as a movie, but the one thing I walked away with is the costumes are pretty amazing. I love how everybody was so mind blown by the garbage scene, and it's like, yeah, that's shit like that stands out. So I feel like this is Cruella pretty easily.
All right, Ashley.
Yeah, let's give Jenny her second Oscar.
I'm game with that. Cruella wins. I have no competition for it whatsoever. Josie says, Coming to America or Nutty Professor?
The original Coming to America?
It says 2, so yes, I would say so.
Wait, what do you mean it says 2? You mean
2.
It says T-O?
Yeah.
It's not the sequel.
I've seen the Nutty Professor a lot more.
Same.
Yeah, I'd probably still say the Nutty Professor. I do love Coming to America, but I never took to it as much. I found Coming to America more in adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
But the Nutty Professor is kind of a lifelong thing.
Sure.
And the emotional beats the Nutty Professor hits too. I remember being heartbroken as a child when Dave Chappelle roasts him.
Oh yeah.
I was like, damn, that hurts.
My only problem with it is what came after. Whereas at least Coming to America, the sequel, was at least okay.
Was? That's generous. I mean,
I didn't mind it. I hate Nutty Professor 2 compared to 1.
Yeah.
The Coming to America went like that and like that. Nutty Professor was higher, but it went lower.
Yeah, because Nutty Professor 2 is one of those prime examples of all it did was take every joke that worked in the first one and made it significantly worse, and that was the whole movie.
And Nutty Professor 2 exists because Norbit could exist, and that's just terrible.
So Josie says, can I write in French Dispatch? God, that snub hurts still. Yeah, I wish. Josie says, go ahead.
Even more so for the next category. The next category is where it's really glaring French Dispatch is missing.
We're getting there right now, actually. Josie says, costumes and production design in French Dispatch or Nightmare Alley? Which do you prefer? It's French Dispatch, easily.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, yes, French Dispatch, no question, but the production design in Nightmare Alley is fucking next level, too.
And like I said before, as much as I don't like the movie, at the end of the day, seeing it in black and white, even though it was a gimmick for it, it actually made it even better. It made it look like more of a film noir, which was what it was going for, too, clearly. Brian says Alice in Wonderland is the only live-action remake so far to win for costume design.
Yeah, it's getting in the category. So that's why I said I didn't go for Cruella immediately as, oh, this is definitely winning. Sure. It's like they have a good track record of getting in.
I would have said House of Gucci at the beginning of all this, says Top Hat, but these are different times. Cruella it is. Yes, correct. Reason why AJ doesn't care about Cruella is because it's directed by the guy who did I, Tonya.
Yeah, and he directed it the same fucking way with that same stupid editing and that same stupid constant soundtrack, and I heard Pam and Tommy's the same way too. I hate that fucking guy. I hate that guy's style. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy. A lot of people want to work with him.
We've defended this many times in the past, saying, "Oh, we don't like the person, we just like their movies or their roles in said movies."
I will give Gillespie credit for one thing. If he's the one that handpicked Joel Fry and Paul Walter Hauser for Jasper and Horace, that's genius casting. That has to be given credit. But other than that, yeah. And Stone is the scene where Stone has her full heel turn is a great scene, but the movie itself is a Craig Gillespie movie.
And we are moving on.
Production design, where we have Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, Macbeth, and West Side Story. Has something happened?
It's not relating to this stuff, so I don't even know whether to. Snoop Dogg and Stephanie McMahon are apparently now major investors in Bloomin' FaZe Clan Esport.
I saw that come across my Twitter feed, and I'm like, I don't care, but that's very disheartening.
Fuck that company.
I'm not gonna lie. The way Ashley just reacted looked so dire. My heart's like beating faster. I didn't know what the hell just happened.
No, if it was something important, I'd have started waving and not gone into fucking hibernation. Or tried to.
Oh my god, that was scary. Oh man. Did I say production design's nominees already?
Yes.
Okay. Nightmare Alley can't be counted out.
Not at all.
And Macbeth should be here more prominently. I keep wanting to say Macbeth should win, but like I said, regardless of other people's opinions, I still can't get over how much Dune looks like they picked up these A-list actors and stuck them on other planets. It's insane. I didn't even feel that way when I watched Avatar. Not this way. So I am saying Dune, but like this. Okay, this is exactly what we were. This is the format we set up. I'm saying it's Dune. It should be Macbeth. The dark horse is Nightmare Alley. There you go.
Ashley.
Dune.
All right. Brian says he's directing the sequel.
Shit.
Yeah,
That's a Gillespie thing, I'm guessing.
Has to be.
Ugh. How does he have songs left? He's used them all in 2 movies.
Yeah, it depends when it's set.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't take to Macbeth like AJ did. Obviously, water's wet. 'Tis the season. The thing about it is, though, I probably would give it the win over most anything else in this category. Just the sheer look of it. Dune's gonna win. Yeah, whatever. Nightmare Alley is the dark horse here for sure. Don't discount Macbeth.
Ooh.
Not completely.
Don't get my hopes up, man.
AJ can kill a movie's chances, as we've seen in the past. But I also can counteract this. So maybe. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt West Side Story here either.
Yeah.
Looks even better the second time I watched it. Honestly. Yeah. This is Dune.
We have reached the Big Ten.
Finally.
I would say, oh my god, it feels like we still have so much to go, but we can probably blow through the acting categories pretty quickly.
Glowing eat before 10 p.m. on a day he has to work at 7 a.m. Film at 11.
A lot of the big eight seems to be predetermined. So the thing that's gonna really get us caught up is fucking this one.
Oh no, we're going there already?
Yes.
Okay, let's do this because I'm ready to have some fun.
We've got a question mark of a category with editing.
Yep.
Before we even say the nominees, I ask all of you, what the fuck is going on in editing?
Yeah. If we go on the history, critics went with West Side, BAFTA went with No Time to Die, and editing got split between King Richard and Tick Tick Boom, yet the front runner is Dune.
I mean, I don't think anything's a front runner in editing right now at this point. I think everything's just up in the air, including style.
And Don't Look Up is some reason here.
Yeah. So yeah, as stated, we got Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, Power of the Dog, and Tick Tick Boom. Here's the thing. You've got a few things that do well. You've got two specific things that do well in editing. Really flashy movies and action movies.
Right.
And we've got two things here that could be considered flashy editing, and we've got an action movie. And there's a movie that is neither one of those things in King Richard. That's a movie that just continuously overperforms and took one side of the guild. And then we have Tick Tick Boom, which has no other nominations except Garfield, which is very uncommon. We were talking, was the last movie to win without a picture nomination Dragon Tattoo?
Sounds right.
I think it was. And Dragon Tattoo still had, like, what, 4 or 5 other nominations. It got him for, like, cinematography and the sounds and all that.
Right.
And Tick Tick Boom underperformed like fuck. So, but if you look at the guild, it beat the other flashy movie that it's up against in Don't Look Up. Right? Don't Look Up was under comedy, I am assuming.
I don't see a reason.
So, then you look at the fact that musicals tend to do okay in this category. Probably more so in one era than recently. Like, I just remembered earlier today that La La Land actually got beat by Hacksaw Ridge. Sorry to open up any more La La Land wounds there, but that's relevant. So, I just kept falling back on Dune, but a part of me was like, what if they go for the blender editing that was Don't Look Up? What if they go for the movie that its editing seems to go completely against what the director's trying to say, which is the world is stupid and has short attention spans. So I'm going to cut my movie up where people can't even get complete sentences in. Which doesn't seem on purpose. It seems like he wants a frantic style and to be pompous, and they're clashing. So, and we saw Hank Corwin lose with very similar editing and Vice to Bohemian Rhapsody, which was a music-themed movie. And for God's sake, Bohemian Rhapsody is well edited. Get the fuck over that stupid chair scene that is 3 seconds of a over 2-hour movie. You fucking idiots that only watch YouTube and say, this is my opinion now, because of 3 seconds of an over 2-hour movie. Please shut the fuck up.
The opinions of AJ are those of Popcast.
I mean, I wasn't happy with some of the editing about over the whole of it, not just that scene on the balcony.
That is much more respectable. These people that just watch the chair scene on YouTube and say, "Oh my god, that's the worst editing I've ever seen, and it won an Oscar. The Oscars are dumb."
The chair scene is just an example of some of the techniques that did come up here and there throughout the entire thing. It's just that's the easiest thing because it sort of shows the main things that affect it throughout. That's the problem. Because it's there in a bubble. It's the perfect thing to show you examples of all the things that affect the entire run of the film. Like, you know, I just wanted practically... I know they can't do it sort of like one shot, but the Live Aid thing at the end, I'd have preferred it to sort of be sort of like a one take sort of section going between them. Seeing it all spliced up, I was just like, I could just watch this on DVD.
That insightful thing that Ashley just said, you're not going to hear that on CinemaSins. But that's where we are in discourse now. So, fuck it all.
God damn it! I need to get the external bell from out of here so I can just ring it as if it's a ding.
Full credits.
Fuck off. So
You already said enough to me, so we don't need
thank
to go
you.
more.
Thank you, CinemaSins, for sticking a fork in movie discourse forever. So, I think I wrote down King Richard. Because like I said, I felt like nobody was with me when I predicted it to get in here. And then that was a celebration in itself. And then it taking the guild and the fact that it's a movie that just will not get knocked down. It's only doing better as we go. And you could say, well, yeah, that means it's going to have to leave with a win. Yeah, it seems to already have a win that's good to go. And that would be it. That would be its showing. But this... Because Dune would be the easy one to fall back on for sure. But... I don't know if it's the guild or what, but I'm just going to stick with this feeling that I had, this high that I was on from nominations morning, and just go ahead and stick with King Richard. So, but yeah, that's the thing, is it could be anything in this category. We didn't even really draw much attention to Power of the Dog. It could be it too. It could be any of them. That's the nightmare that is this category. And like we were saying, most of the stuff that's already won this season isn't even nominated. So, yeah.
Ashley.
Power of the Dog. I mean, it's the one that I put in that nobody else did either, so...
Okay, this one takes some explanation.
Oh my word. Hang on. Let's get the pin board and the red string.
I prefer to use a carpet tool, actually. Thank you.
So, yeah, are you about to do like a Pepe Sylvia thing here?
Well,
Carol in HR.
I don't have to deal with anybody in HR, thank God. So this takes some explanation. We have been, AJ and myself. AJ started it. I won't say he didn't. And then it kind of rolled through the season about King Richard overperforming. We've had many conversations on here and also over the phone about what if. There was a narrative that King Richard could have foreseeably won PGA. It wasn't likely, but it was there.
If it had taken the path that Coda's taking now, because the first thing we looked at was SAG.
Right. So we're looking at King Richard as the option. And then I look at the editing nominees here, and I'll look at them right here on camera. I don't care. I won't give it to Dune. It's already got its 4. I won't go any further. That might be a mistake. Don't Look Up is very possible because they seem to really like it. But I feel personally, even though AJ assured me that it wouldn't necessarily be the case, if Don't Look Up's going to win editing, it's got to take screenplay from PTA. And I don't want to go for that, so I'm not going for that.
I was gonna say, I don't think that's true. I think it could take editing without having to get screenplay.
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning that you brought that into my mind.
Yeah.
And then you've got the 2 that I've been settling on. And just like a good friend, they talk you off the ledge when you're willing to go one route, and they give you so many reasons why you should just stick with the old faithful. Clearly, this belongs to Tick Tick Boom. I've been saying it since day one. I predicted it getting into editing. I want it to win. It deserves to win. It should win. But I'm going with King Richard. Because, again, at the end of the day, no matter how much I love Tick Tick Boom, no matter how much I wish Garfield was running away with this, he's not. That's not the world we live in. And seeing Tick Tick Boom blank, which I don't want this, but it's very probable at this point. And Will Smith has already got the Oscar wrapped up right now. So getting another win on top of it, this would be it.
Are we ready for our last tech category?
After these chat messages. Top Hat says the category is too close. Too close. I'm going with Nightmare Alley to stir the pot because Del Toro's movies are usually favored here. Yeah, I can't deny Nightmare Alley in anything at this point. If Nightmare Alley does win, says Brian, if a Del Toro movie is nominated for production design, always go for it with the win. Basically, Del Toro would be Tim Burton in production design.
I should say he's the new Tim Burton.
Yeah. I want to know who his Bumble Ward is. Comedy for two is still comedy. The Departed won editing without a sound nomination, says Josie. Yeah. Top Hat says, knowing the Academy's record, I won't be surprised if Don't Look Up takes it. The French Connection has brilliant editing, and it did win. The scene of Power of the Dog when Phil goes in the lake or pond or whatever with the Bronco Henry cloth is some of the best editing in the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that, yeah.
Especially after seeing it again. Josie says in 73, Cabaret won editing, beating The Godfather, Deliverance, The Hot Rock, and Poseidon.
Yeah, Cabaret cleaned up.
Yeah, about it. And also, we talked about the Fathom events last night. That's another one that's coming that I want to check out. Coppola just got a star on the Hall of Fame. This is for you, AJ. Josie asked if you ever saw Rumblefish.
Oh yeah.
No, I know.
Time.
That's why I wanted to bring it up to you.
I actually just referenced it because they referenced it in Like Mike, which I thought was really random.
And the conversation. Fun fact, Josie. The conversation I saw a trailer for at the Independent Art House Theater in California that I saw drive my car in. So I've seen the theatrical trailer for the conversation. And in a very odd way, I've seen the theatrical trailer for Short Bus as well, and it is a red band.
I love how you talk about having seen the trailer for the conversation in a theater when you've seen the movie itself in a theater.
I have, but it's recent that we saw it in the trailer recently. The movie was many moons ago.
That was the same time Some Like It Hot and All About Eve was at that theater that you may or may not have been that I was.
Some Like It Hot, I think. Yeah, I do remember seeing that because I remember the line, the comedy line at the end. All About Eve, I'm vaguely remembering, but yeah, I do remember Some Like It Hot in the conversation.
You probably saw through All About Eve.
For the most part, maybe. Mickey Rourke is great in Rumblefish, says Brian.
Yeah, and Dylan is like on another level. But yeah, Rourke is one of those cases where it's like I feel like at the time Rourke was the showy performance, but nowadays where acting is, Dylan is considered the real standout.
Sure. Let's knock this out and get where what brought us to the dance in the first place.
Oh my god.
I know where we're going with this, and this is going to be an interesting conversation.
These categories are so hard, man. Like, this is what I'm talking about. People who think these are the boring categories aren't paying the fuck attention.
Not boring if you pay attention, exactly.
We got Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, Macbeth, and West Side Story. Once again, it feels like anything is possible.
Yeah, for sure.
and I hate it. I hate it to my absolute core. It just rips my heart out of my chest. That it feels like Macbeth is the least likely, because that's the kind of shitty world we live in. um, I Dune is the obvious choice, and I teased before on here that I have greatly considered going Nightmare Alley here. When we did BAFTA, I said thought about going Nightmare Alley, but I didn't because I felt like it was more of an Oscar move to go with Nightmare Alley.
Right.
And then I saw a movie again. Before I say this, obviously Power of the Dog is always an option here, I guess.
Yep.
But like, I don't know what it is exactly, or if it's just because they were front runners at some point. But when Nomadland lost this category, which is still wild after that whole season, where I don't know if I want to say their cinematography is comparable, like almost like the way it combines intimacy with the vast landscapes and the mountains reminds me of Nomadland's cinematography. Maybe that could be it. And it's like my first thought is if Nomadland can lose, Power of the Dog can lose. So, despite the fact that Dune is like the front runner right now, when I saw it again, all I could think was West Side Story could easily take this, because you look at the Guild, and we saw that Kaminsky wasn't at the Guild, but there was the theory that I don't know if it was confirmed yet or not, that Kaminsky might have left the Guild and that's why he missed. So if he had been there, it's the Branagh at WGA question. If he had been there, would it have gone that route? But then again, the Cinematography Guild has made a lot of interesting decisions that did not reflect what happened here at all, like Lion. And yeah, once that happened, like I still feel like, much like editing, I feel like Dune is the way to go. It's the safe way to go and the obvious way to go. But after that rewatch of West Side Story, I can't shake it off. So I said West Side Story.
Okay.
And if there was going to be, if West Side Story has to leave with something, this is the most open place, I think.
Ashley.
Dude.
All right.
Because there's things in Dune that are unmatched, like the Bene Gesserit arriving and stuff like that. Like you can't, and just any of the, and it's also one of those cases of the way it combines, like, you know, cinematography as is, and then with the effects. But it's like that debate about, you know, Avatar and Life of Pi taking this category. But the way this meshes those in this beautiful way specifically, where everything still feels like you feel like you're in another world, but you also feel like it's right there and everything is touchable. It's yeah, but maybe I'll have regrets, but it'll be win-win. Either I'll get the prediction right, or it'll be Dune, and I'll still be happy.
Josie says Mickey Rourke is a big dog person. I believe at the Globes that season he thanked his Chihuahua.
Well, he was really like attached to his Chihuahuas there, and they're actually his pets in Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Like,
Josie says his Chihuahua died that season, I believe. I think I remember hearing about that when we were talking about him promoting his run with the wrestler.
yeah.
Dune versus West Side Story, but I'll choose Dune, says Top Hat. Brian says get ready for the personal Big A predictions. We should go real fast once we get to this. There's a lot of really, like, obviosity here coming up the rest of the run. This is the last, like, question mark for me. I mean, you look at all the options, and again, I'm set in my ways. Dune got 4. That's as far as I'm taking it. Like AJ mentioned, Tragedy of Macbeth should be in this, and another year it would be, but not, sadly. Nightmare Alley is always a contender, has always been mentioned, and that brings me to my choice. And I talk about a double shot. And AJ mentioned this seems to be the most likely of opportunities that West Side Story has to win. Or maybe it's not the only thing West Side Story is going to win, other than the obvious, because we don't need to talk about the obvious, because obviously we'll get to that in a minute. But maybe that's not the last thing West Side Story is going to win. I guess we'll have to see. But in the meantime, West Side Story for cinematography.
I think the big 8 are so clear, I didn't even write them down. Well,
fair.
Most of them. We've got one here. We've got one here that's given us trouble, and we know what that is. But
go ahead.
Are we starting?
Yeah. Yes, please. It's 9:00.
All right, 5 after actually.
4 after, according to my clock. But yes.
I just turned 5 as you said that.
You just turned 5 when you said that, so we're good.
287 after for me. My clock is very wrong.
Screenplay time.
For adapted, we have Coda, Drive My Car, Dune, The Lost Daughter, and Power of the Dog. Anybody else think Drive My Car is waiting in the shadows, just ready to take out one of these big 8 things?
I love that.
Anybody just have that feeling? But obviously, it was like, this is Power of the Dog, Power of the Dog, Power of the Dog, Power of the Dog. And it was like, oh, The Lost Daughter. And it's like, oh man, it really looks like The Lost Daughter. It's like, oh, The Lost Daughter is going to be the Precious to Power of the Dog's Up in the Air. It's like, we're going to have a sweep the whole time, and then suddenly there's this one that takes it out, and that's going to be The Lost Daughter. And then Coda happened, and I never thought we would. This is what award season can do. Award season can be the most boring thing ever, or it can be wild. Like, think about where we were at the beginning of this season. Now we're like, if Stewart wins, she'll be a surprise. And right now I'm saying, right now in March, the end of March, right before the show, I am saying adapted screenplay is Coda easily. It's insane we've gotten to this point, but okay, here's the thing though. Power of the Dog seems to be taking hits left and right, and has been since the guilds have been involved. Power of the Dog could always still have a good night. Power of the Dog could still take a couple of techs, it could still take this, it'll take Campion, it could still take the big one. We don't know for sure. You know what's really got me paranoid is last night in the chat when somebody brought up Little Miss Sunshine winning PGA and SAG. I completely forgot about Little Miss Sunshine, and now I'm afraid for Coda. But momentum is a hell of a thing, and if anything's got momentum as fuck right now, it would be Coda. So I'm not gonna say, I'm saying Coda easily, but if the Power of the Dog were to make a very last-minute comeback, I kind of wouldn't be surprised. But I am saying Coda for adapted, so yeah.
Ashley.
Coda.
Let's get to that in a minute, but first, in 1982, Reds won cinematography, beating Raiders of the Lost Ark, Ragtime, Excalibur, and On Golden Pond. It also won editing that year, did Raiders, because Ordinary People, which was the picture winner, was not nominated. French Connection won Best Picture, but lost cinematography to Fiddler on the Roof.
That makes perfect sense.
Go ahead.
That makes perfect sense.
Let's see. Other nods being French Connection, Nicholson, Alexandra, Summer of 42, and Last Picture Show. Brian says his adapted predictions: Coda, Dune, Eyes of Tammy Faye, Lost Daughter, and Tick Tick Boom. Josie says, I can see Drive My Car winning adapted since Murakami is really hard to adapt. I wouldn't be opposed to Drive My Car winning. WGA has been wrong before as far as predicting. Green Book, though, nominated WGA and Best Picture and Original Screenplay winner lost to Eighth Grade.
That's because
Once
Eighth
more.
Grade was a good
Yeah,
film.
2018. The guilds really went rogue. That was just a weird year in general for the guilds.
Like I bring up every time, and I will continuously do so. The Hurt Locker won Best Picture. At the Spirit Awards, it lost to The Wrestler.
I just want to throw out real quick since it got mentioned, Ragtime, which I believe is Milos Forman, is amazing. Anybody that hasn't seen that needs to seek it out. It got a couple of acting nominations for Howard E. Rollins and Elizabeth McGovern, and the whole thing is incredible. Really early Jeff Daniels in there too for a minute.
Top Hat says Coda for adapted, Licorice Pizza for original. I like how you're thinking, Top Hat. Yeah, so this takes a little explanation as well. The only other option I had in this circumstance was Lost Up. And I feel like if it would have done better the rest of the season, I could have seen it happening. But you can't doubt Coda, and I'm not going to. Coda wins this easily, just like AJ said.
All right, let's
Oh,
go.
God.
Let's go to the fucking troublemaker.
Exactly, Chinlock Horn, but not.
That's
For
my
original
chair.
screen,
Damn it.
for original, we have Belfast, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, and The Worst Person in the World. Like we said before, we had it down to 2.
Yep.
WGA had other things in mind. King Richard is always overperforming and ready to impress.
Certainly.
Worst Person in the World is here. Which means keep your eye on Worst Person in the World. It could be really sneaky. So I'm not jumping on this Don't Look Up thing. So what I was sticking to the Belfast or Licorice Pizza thing.
Right.
And the debate we were talking about yesterday was both of them have big losses because Licorice Pizza won BAFTA over Belfast, which is a big victory because Belfast is obviously, it won Best British Film, let alone seeming like it would be the easy choice there. But then Licorice Pizza loses to Don't Look Up, with leaving us uncertain if Branagh would have won if he was there, if he was eligible. So, based on that and what we were talking about with WGA and BAFTA and which one you want to lean more towards, Belfast has more nominations and seems to have more love, but it's one of those cases where I feel like Branagh's more well known for being a filmmaker besides an actor. Whereas PTA is known just as much, if not more so, for his writing than his directing. So, and more beloved for it. So, even if Licorice Pizza underperformed nominations-wise, and even if it does not by any means have a flawless record of winning this season, I just keep gravitating towards that. So I'm gonna say Licorice Pizza.
Ashley.
I have Belfast.
Yeah, I don't need to say anything at this point. I'm not going to go against it. And Don't Look Up has me nervous. And I did mention earlier that if Don't Look Up was going to win editing, it would take screenplay with it. And AJ was trying to assure me it could win editing without screenplay. Belfast, as I'm sure you're getting as we move along with this show, it's blanking for me. I never thought I'd say that. King Richard is really a challenger here, but it's not one that's really had any visibility for the entire season. So it's kind of like a challenger in name only. But if on the ballot and you're voting for literally the movie King Richard, maybe you'll just vote for King Richard.
Yeah,
Ever King Richard is listed, potentially.
WGA be damned. I would pick King Richard before I'd pick Don't Look Up.
Yeah, for sure.
Like not for not just personally, but to win. I mean,
And I went down with the ship with American Hustle, and I don't see me ever getting such a bonehead decision in my Oscar predicting ever again. But let me move on for a second. Times WGA has been wrong. Bonnie and Clyde won the 1968 season there, but lost the original screenplay at Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Brian's lineup for original is Belfast, Encanto, Licorice Pizza, Parallel Mothers, and Worst Person in the World. And Josie also talks about the 85 Flipsky that season, Broadway Danny Rose winning original screenplay at WGA, but losing it to Places in the Heart. And Bull Durham winning original screenplay at WGA, but losing its only nomination to Rain Man.
yeah, the years mess with me because I always go by the year the movies are for rather than the year of the ceremony. So it always throws me off when I hear like the next year for the previous movies.
To be fair, if you look in chat, AJ Josie's doing the 88/89, so it's clear, crystal. I was never not going to go for PTA here, even if it seems bleak. I mean, I'll gladly take the L here. This is what I want to win. This is what should win, and I feel like finally this is what's going to win. Licorice Pizza.
Which one did you say again, AJ?
I also said Licorice Pizza.
Right.
Speed round.
Thank God, this is easy from here. I think they actually are, except I'm probably going to get a little heat in a little bit, but we'll get there soon.
Are we ready?
Yeah, let's get the DeBose category out of the way.
All right. DeBose's competition
No.
is Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter, Judi Dench for Belfast, Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog, and Ingenue Ellis for King Richard. Congratulations to the four of them, and the four of them are good to great. But yeah, if you're not saying DeBose, I'm really curious who you are saying.
Ashley?
Yeah, DeBose.
I mean, in a perfect world, no. But again, we don't live in a perfect world. I'm typing the answer here. So yeah, Ellis is great in King Richard. And love Judi Dench, love Jessie Buckley. Kirsten Dunst just kind of got like lost by the wayside somehow the whole season.
When she got here, the story
matters. I honestly think Ellis is probably could have been a bigger competitor here at one point, but the only acting in King Richard that actually went all the way, we'll get to in a minute, but yeah, there's no way. I mean, it's not my personal choice, not even on my Oscar, not even on my personal lineup. But yeah, I talked about visibility for West Side Story. How about instead of 2, how about 3? You'll find out soon what I mean. Ariana DeBose.
Also worth noting, I love Dench in Belfast. She reminds me of my own grandma.
Right.
But that's Val's spot.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right. Troy Coates' competition
No.
is Kieran Hines for Belfast, Get Well Soon. Clemens and Smith McPhee for Power of the Dog, and for some reason J.K. Simmons and Being the Ricardos. Once again, well, no, not necessarily once again, because as it's been alluded to throughout the season, I'd like to think I made that known. I felt like I was never 100% convinced of the Cody Smith McPhee thing.
Nope.
Did I make that known enough?
You wasn't.
All right, so yeah, you guys have been watching. You've heard what we've said, so that's why I'm saying Troy Coates.
Ashley.
Yeah, I've gone with Troy as well.
I mean, there was a time that it was going to be Cody Smith McPhee, and then we got to televise award shows, and it's kind of like, hey, maybe this is going to go, and then it just ended, and it never came back. And in the immortal words of a great man in a film from a long time ago, it's not gonna. And we're not talking about Fleet Walker in Toledo. We're talking about Troy Kotsur for Coda.
Right. Are we ready for actress?
Oh, this is actually the well, no, I got a bigger one in a minute, but yeah, actress is kind of a big deal.
We have Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart for Spencer. It started off as, this is Kristen Stewart, no question, no competition. Then that turned into probably Coleman. Then that turned into Kidman, but also Coleman. Is it Kidman or Coleman? And now it's Chastain or Chastain or Chastain. What a crazy category. This has been fun. Oh, by the way, hi Penelope Cruz. It's good to see you. I So I think a lot of when SAG got here, a lot of people thought Kidman was the front runner, and I didn't know where that was coming from because fuck Globe. Who cares about Globe?
Yeah.
Nobody else seems to. So, and I was convinced of this that Coleman could win again already. And this whole time, I thought Chastain, much as I loved her, much as I was pulling for her, and she's my personal pick who should be winning this. I thought she was really on the edge, and I honestly wasn't even sure she'd get this nomination. And then SAG just changed the game completely. Only trouble is that we don't have a middleman with BAFTA, if you want to call him that. BAFTA's more important than a middleman, but you get what I mean. We don't have another stepping stone.
Sure, of course.
Because none of these people were at BAFTA. And when that happens, Regina King's happen.
True.
And Kristen Stewart has looked an awful lot like a Regina King, even though she lost the Globe, which who gives a fuck? I mean, you kind of give a fuck because King had the Globe, and that's the only thing she brought to her Oscar win. And she even lost Critics' Choice, but I say again, who gives a fuck about Critics' Choice when we're talking about this stuff, the stuff that's not voted on by like YouTubers and shit. But so the question is can she carry that SAG win? Because if she does, I guess it's because of BAFTA, she might not seem as strong as she should be.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't feel like you're saying like it's 100% Chastain, just like you'd say DeBose or Coates, or you don't say Chastain with as much vigor. I don't know if it's because her SAG win was a little unexpected, or if it's because BAFTA's missing and it makes her feel a little more vulnerable. And I keep having this feeling that if Chastain should lose, I think it might be to Stewart with no precursors. But I'm gonna say Chastain. But if it's Stewart, I kind of won't be surprised.
Ashley, what do you got?
I had all this thing worked out of being all this, clever thing. And AJ says it all. Kristen Stewart.
Oh, wow.
But first, to the chat. Brian, supporting actress predictions. Balf, Buckley, Coleman. Coleman for Mitchells versus the Machines, actually.
That's funny.
Smith for Parallel Mothers, and Miura for Drive My Car. Nice. Top S says yes to Bose. Brian says supporting actor predictions. Cooper.
Streisand.
Lie. Feist, Isaac, and Kotsur.
Nice. Love seeing that Feist love.
Everybody.
Can't get enough of it.
I have I have someone who admitted to me today that they will remain nameless to protect the innocent, that they absolutely like are gaga for Mike Feist.
I get that. I totally respect whoever that is.
Considering the fact it's one of my biggest cheerleaders on planet Earth, I would say so. Best supporting actor, I have Mr. in the Classroom winning big. Actress predictions. Thanks, Brian. Renee Jones, Haim, Cruz, and Stephanie Beatrice from Encanto.
Interesting.
I'm okay with that.
I like the animation inclusions. They're inspired.
I can't say Cruz because I didn't see Parallel Mothers, but Amelia Jones all day, every day, and Alana Haim all day, every day.
And
Renee,
these are predictions for what he thinks he's going to say after his marathon.
yeah, his personal predictions for the top 8.
I'd like to find out when he's doing his marathon because that will probably be a big discussion in one of our future videos, and we can kind of revisit the nominees.
Top Hat says, nah, it's Troy. Chastain is most likely, but I'm keeping an eye on Stewart. I think everyone is at this point. Josie says, I wouldn't be surprised if any of Best Actress nominees win at some point, honestly. Yeah, totally. Actor, Cooper, Garfield, Cooper Hoffman. Thank you, Brian. Nice. Nishijima and Denzel.
Yeah.
Brian, you're endearing yourself to the network slowly but surely. Jillian Renison, welcome back. Hoping for Olivia or Penelope. I am bored of biopics.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind Coleman being more of this.
Yes, I guess I would probably be saying the exact same thing if I didn't love what Chastain did so much, because it is like, and there's just something more about, like, it feels more like it's about the creative process, having to build a character from the ground up to play.
Sure. And welcome back, Jillian. Like I said before, I did see you pop into the pun not intended last night, so thanks for returning. Josie says, thoughts on The Crying Game, winning original screenplay.
Not only do I love that, I think I would have given Jordan director. I know Unforgiven is like this really amazing thing, and I do respect it, but
it's fine.
The Crying Game felt like such a unique movie in the obvious way, but in so many ways. It just feels like such a unique movie, even now. And I just really love it. And it's like, yeah, it's the kind of script that a writer should like kind of aspire to get to. To write something where like the first half hour or so is something that would make a great movie by itself, and then to go into one of the biggest twists in movie history, and it becomes something else entirely, but yet is still connected. It's crazy. It's an incredible movie. I love it so much.
Most definitely. So yeah,
and obviously Miranda Richardson's fucking iconic in it. So
actress is a unique circumstance because obviously I put a lot of hope behind Nicole Kidman. She wins the Globe. Everything was great, grand, and wonderful. Everybody was trying to convince me, the fan of the movie, that she was the front runner, and I'm like, nah, it's the Globes. This is the one year especially they don't want to really draw attention to that. So I'm like, Pshaw, that's not a thing. Cruz slid in. Apparently, she was very well respected, as always, and well liked in Parallel Mothers. And her nomination was kind of a surprise for me, but shouldn't have been. I really wish Coleman was more in this. Honestly, I really like The Lost Daughter, and it's not got enough love this season. I'm glad Maggie's winning. It sucks it's at Miranda's expense, but I'm very happy for Gyllenhaal winning. First feature.
Oh yeah. I went to Encanto. I was like, oh no, Miranda's done multiple things this year because he's that incredible.
Yes. I never saw Chastain in the Eyes of Tammy Faye because it was here for a week and I didn't think it was important back then, so I never watched it. I hope I don't make that mistake in 2023. I say this every season, and every season I don't. And yeah, I love Kristen Stewart and Spencer, and I really wanted to see her like dominate, and it looked like she was going to, until it didn't happen. And Chastain became like the winner. Like AJ is not wrong when he says that Stewart could take this. This stuff happens all the time. But I'm also going to go with Jessica Chastain.
And it's still such a shame because I've been such a champion for Stewart for so long now. And now that she's reached this level, it's a performance it's a performance in a movie I don't care for. I just felt nothing for that movie.
Yeah, I clearly like Spencer more than you did. I can definitely tell that. Josie says the player actually won WGA for Adapted, the 1993 season, nominated for Adapted Screenplay, Director, and Editing. In a world of 10, it would have been in there. Yeah, that's for sure. 100%. Denny, Jared Bush, and Byron Howard from Encanto. PTA, Almodovar, and Miranda is Brian's director lineup.
Nice.
I'm okay with that. Well, partially.
Like I said, if you have a creative bone in your body and Tick Tick Boom doesn't speak to you on a grand level, I'm not sure what you're doing.
It would be in the conversation for every award, and it's just not, and it's such a shame. Such a lost opportunity. Well, let's talk about another award that's pretty much set in stone right now. You might as well not the Major Mark Award, but just give this to him currently.
All right, we got Cumberbatch, Garfield, Will Smith, Denzel, and I guess Javier Bardem for some reason. This was going to be a competition at one point. This was going to be a race to the death at one point.
Yep.
It was going to be Will Smith takes SAG, Cumberbatch takes BAFTA. Holy shit, what's going to happen now? And now we got Power of the Dog just getting the absolute shit beat out of it, and Cumberbatch hasn't won shit past Critics Award.
It turned from GCW Deathmatch to No Peace Underground overnight.
Now, once again, for all we know, Power of the Dog still could have a good night in it at the last second. Seems unlikely, but it could happen. Obviously, my personal pick is Denzel. He would have just wiped the floor with everybody if I had any say. And like I said, I feel like Smith and Cumberbatch are pretty much on par with each other if you have to compare. They're such different performances, but if you had to compare, I'd say they're pretty much on par. But like I said, just because of feeling this personal connection to Will Smith for pretty much my whole life, I'm just so happy with any success that he gets. And seeing all this stuff happen. Even when he won Critics' Choice, I almost felt a little emotional. Even when he said Best Actor should get a little more time, and like Will came out, it was like seeing the real Will Smith accepting a Best Actor award at an award show is like, not only do I hope he wins, I just want to I want to see him on the stage and give that. A lot of people say his speech is going to be cringy or something, but those people can stick it up their ass. So I really want to see it. I really want to see it happen, and I'm excited about it.
And we're going to see it happen, and it's going to be glorious when it does.
Yeah. So if I didn't make it clear, my choice is Will Smith officially.
Ashley.
I'm gonna go with Will Smith's son. That's a trick question because Will Smith is actually Will Smith II. He's named after his dad.
Right, yeah.
The dad that apparently knocked his mum over with one punch.
Oh,
Tell that was a happy upbringing.
Coleman was subtly brilliant. Even she smashed the Yorkshire last come good accent, says Jillian Renison. Very true. Josie says, my personal vote of these is Cumberbatch. I mean, that line, because she was drunk, gives me chills.
This whole lineup minus Bardem is so stellar. This is one of the best actor lineups we've had for a while.
I like being the Ricardos, and constantly defend it, and I went with Bardem because of sake of predictions. But I mean, you had to take someone out. He's literally the only one you can take out. Hi, Cooper Hoffman.
No.
For me,
I respect that kid a lot, but not when you had Cage and fucking Oscar Isaac and a few other people.
obviously, I wouldn't have gone with Dune, and I didn't see Pig, so I can't say anything about it.
Even Graham, man.
I do find it ironic, though, that 20 years on from when Denzel beat Will, Will's beating Denzel.
Even Decap was in this at one point, but that kind of went by the wayside too.
It feels like an eternity ago Dinklage was in the conversation.
Yeah. I like Cyrano.
Okay. Enjoy your costume nomination.
Still got more nominations. He did.
Dinklage has got something, hasn't he? For next year? Or is that a TV series?
I don't know. It's 9:35.
I know. I'm looking it up. Just
best actor. I'm with AJ on this, but to a different extent, obviously. If this was up to me, Andrew Garfield would be running away with this, without question. For me personally. I'm a rent mark. I love Jonathan Larson's story. I think Garfield just nailed it in every way possible. Just perfect performance. In another year, this would probably be something that would have done exceedingly well in the season. But he's not Will Smith. And he's not going to be Will Smith here because they're two completely different performances. And at the end of the day, there really is no competition. There was at one point, but slowly but surely things have been weeded out. And yeah, Will Smith wins.
We were trying to think of what it was before and we couldn't remember. What Cumberbatch said at BAFTA was, you don't lose to Will Smith, you win being in his company.
Nice. I like that. Very humble. Unlike someone else we're about to talk about.
Well, let's, well, two of us will probably get this over with quickly.
Yeah, you will.
For director, we've got Brown for Belfast, Hamaguchi for Drive My Car, PTA for Licorice Pizza, Campion for Power of the Dog, and Spielberg for West Side Story. So Campion made some enemies at Critics' Choice, but how often does that end up lasting this late in the season? It doesn't usually. People have their theories about Russell Crowe, but there are a number of things that went into that. Denzel should have won for Training Day anyway. Anybody else's controversies be damned. It doesn't matter. I want to say Denzel winning for Training Day was always in the cards. And it wasn't because Russell Crowe beat up somebody with a phone or whatever it was. So I don't think that's going to cause any kind of trajectory enough to make Campion miss. So I'm still saying Campion. But we were talking, the chat's been talking about Hamaguchi potentially taking votes away. And like we were saying, that could either if Hamaguchi starts taking votes, it's either putting Hamaguchi at the top or it's at least taking away from Campion and giving other people a pathway. And I had said that, we had said, and I think a lot of people have been saying that Spielberg seemed like the most realistic choice if for some reason Campion should fall, in the unlikely event that Campion falls. Even if it's the Power of the Dog's only win of the night. Director is one of those categories outside of 2019 where director is a stubborn category in the season. Once director becomes clear, you can't change it, it seems like. I said, unless your name is Sam Mendes. Or your name is Bong Joon-ho. But based on all that, I'm just going to stick with this Campion thing, even if, like I said, it's the only thing I'm giving Power of the Dog, but it would continue to make sense if what I've been saying about Power Dog could always do well at the last minute. It could, but either way, I'm gonna stick with this Campion thing because sometimes people are lazy and they just say, "Oh, that's what's been happening. We'll just keep that going."
Ashley.
I'm sticking with Campion as well, despite everything.
Okay. This does take some explanation. Now, I'm sure if you've been following along, you've noticed a lot of movies are getting multiple wins. A lot of movies that we would expect, any of us would really expect to have done really well, not doing so good. Lots of the 10 gonna go home empty handed. Just that's how the race works. Something I'm sure you picked up on it, even though I've not mentioned it this whole show. And AJ, I think, has picked up on it, and I'm sure Ashley probably has too. And I know our loyal chat viewers have probably picked up on it. Notice one thing about me this whole night. I've never once mentioned Power of the Dog at all for anything. I didn't mention any possibilities. I didn't mention anything about a dark horse. I didn't mention the movie one bit. There's a reason for that. So yeah, like AK alluded to, Jane Campion got into a little bit of controversy because of what she said about the Williams sisters. And yeah, it is true that this late in the season, this may not matter as much. But what if it does? What if the Power of the Dog, to make me feel better about life, is American Hustle this year? Goes in with double nominations, chances to win mostly everything it was nominated for, goes home with absolutely nothing.
I think I asked this before. That would be a record, wouldn't it?
I believe so.
Because I think the most people have walked away empty-handed with is 10.
Right.
Which a few things have done.
So we get to this, and I love to see Hamaguchi win because I love driving my car. And, honestly, I'd be okay with Branagh won because I enjoy Belfast a lot. In a perfect world, we mentioned this before, PTA would be walking out with this. But again, that's not a thing that we're in the world in. We're in real world here, and this is when it's really mattering. And me saying what I'm about to say, as I didn't mention Power of the Dog all night, not because I don't like it, because everyone here knows I do, except for the one random chat comment that asked if I liked it or not, because they've just watched one show and they thought I didn't like it because of me being upset when it would win things. No, it's not that I don't like the movie. I don't like how smug Jane Campion is. And to be fair, after everything that's happened, I really want someone to shut her up 100%. And I feel that a win, just like back in the long ago and the way before times, when it was the piano versus Schindler's List, I feel that history is going to repeat itself. And Steven Spielberg is my choice for Best Director.
I almost went kind of Homer in the bushes there for a second.
I sensed it coming. There was hints were being dropped about West Side Story quite a lot of the time.
Yep, 100%. I mean, without giving away what I think is pretty obvious at this point, right now, what I'm looking at is there's going to be 3 movies walking out. Well, I forgot about the 4th one for Dune. So Dune would win 4, Tammy Faye would win 2, West Side Story would win 3, and what we're about to talk about also is going to win 3. Every single one that it's nominated for, just like nature intended. But first, Brian says, Best Picture, Belfast, Coda, Dune, Encanto, Flea, Licorice Pizza, Lost Daughter, Parallel Mothers, Tick, Tick, Boom, West Side Story, and Worst Person in the World. Now, am I crazy for going with Spielberg? Probably. Is Campion still going to win? Most likely. But I'm already out of the competition anyway, and I might as well just... You never know what could possibly happen. Like AJ said, if there's going to be deviating from the Campion love that we've had all season, it's got to be Spielberg that wins it at this point. With the bows being a certainty, a surprise win in cinematography, it would be quite a third to add to that list. We'll see what happens. Brian says 2022 Best Picture predictions. Dear God, really? It's not August yet, good sir. Avatar 2, Babylon, Bardo, Fablemans, I Want to Dance with Somebody, Killers of the Flower Moon. You're missing Elvis, Brian. I'm gonna, obviously, my love for Lerman is going to lead me towards Elvis. Lightyear, Poor Things, Rustin in the Sun. Top Hat says, I think it's still Power of the Dogs to lose. It is, 100%. And I'm probably wrong, but what if I'm not? We'll see.
Is that directed at director or picture?
I think he's talking about director because that's what
Why
we're
not
talking
both?
Poor Things.
Are we ready to wrap up?
Yeah.
For picture, we have Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. Well, like I said before, I'm quick to jump on something, but that Little Miss Sunshine comparison is making me nervous. I'm still saying Coda. But like I said, Power of the Dog could always have a decent night at the last minute, and I can't say that enough.
Right. Ashley.
I'm sticking with Coda as well.
Get your chat messages out because we're taking it home, my friends. Coda won SAG and PGA. Usually I would go for it for picture too, but it didn't get nominated for editing, and that means something. So I'm going to stick with Power of the Dog for picture, says Lorraine.
I still think that comes into play what we talked about where...
Oh no. At the end of the show?
Oh no.
Coda's momentum has... What happened?
You dipped.
Yep.
I said nothing changed for me. I didn't know what happened.
That's why I was confused. I was like, continue.
Shit, where was I?
Power of the Dog, Coda.
Coda's momentum.
Yeah.
Coda's momentum has been a really weird thing because we talked about if Coda had the momentum that it does now, it would probably have a lot more nominations than it does.
100%.
And like we were going back on, I seriously can't remember. Nomadland missed in editing also, didn't it? Let's find out.
Film editing.
Thanks, Wikipedia. That's useless. Oh, okay.
2020s. Yeah, Sound of Metal got editing.
Yeah, it did. I remember.
As far,
I was happy.
well, as far as being nominated, okay, it is there. Okay, I've been making that mistake all season. Shit. All right. Well, yeah. I guess this will just be one of those broken precedents, but I could see that being a setback.
Also,
for sure.
The last time the editing also equated to picture was Argo, and that was 10 years ago, nearly.
obviously Birdman's an anomaly there. um, yeah.
All right. Okay, so Josie says, to your point, Top Hat, Coda could be Little Miss Sunshine. I believe, Josie, you are the one that said that yesterday, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong, but that was a long show, so I don't remember. At the end of the day, it would not be surprising if something other than Coda or Power of the Dog won because of aversion to streaming. I mean, we talked about a long time ago, back in the way before time, that this is a way to get Licorice Pizza to win, or Belfast, both of them. But that's not either.
I told you, Owen, about the horrible thing I said to myself earlier.
Yes.
That I almost didn't catch it. Where I was trying to put at ease Little Sunshine comparison.
Yep. Oh, God dang it.
Scenario, because again, can you still hear me, or am I gone completely?
No, you're fine.
Okay. I had said in my head that the different thing about Little Miss Sunshine that Coda wasn't having problems with was Little Miss Sunshine was up against the movie that was already guaranteed the director win. And it's like, oh fuck, that's Coda as well.
Hopefully not, but I see where you're coming from. Josie says stats don't mean, well, I can't curse, but yeah, shiznit, we'll put it that way. They show trends, but stats are meant to be broken. Brian says if Coda wins, it's basically just saying they have a grudge against Netflix for picture. It'll be the first film to win picture without a director or film editing nomination since the editing category was introduced. Yeah, if you don't know by now that I'm going with Coda, you're probably just not paying attention. I mean, I get to watch it again on Friday. I can't wait. I've been listening to the soundtrack at work, which is replacing my normal listening to Water Parks before I get ready for work in the morning. Like, I'm literally getting the office ready for guests to come in, and I'm listening to Water Parks. But I've been listening to the Coda soundtrack lately because I just been so captivated.
The big question now is, because of what happened last year, is Will Smith the final award to make up for what happened last year?
Ooh.
The only way they're gonna unhumiliate themselves is to go back to the way it fucking is supposed to be.
I don't know if it's gonna go, if you're trying to go for the main event being the one that people recognize. It's obviously got to be Will Smith.
It does seem like they are out to self-sabotage this show so badly. Yeah, I wouldn't put anything past them at this point. If anything, they'll fuck up the show just to piss off people like us that just want it to be what it's supposed to be.
And then we've got this like 2-3 hour forum that night that we're gonna just sit and just complain.
Statler and Waldorf times infinity.
Because my stomach will be filled and I'll be frustrated and happy at the same time, depending on what happens. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun show. And then of course we bleed into Monday night, which we're just gonna do like a traditional hangout, basically, for all intents and purposes.
And the reason they're gonna fuck it up as bad as they're gonna fuck it up is because they know the sad truth, which is we will be back anyway.
Yep.
Regardless of what they do.
And we'll be back in August to start this shindig again. Josie says, had a great time chatting with you all tonight, going to sleep now, have work in the morning. Me too, Josie. I have to work at 7 a.m., so I feel your pain. So we'll see everyone on Sunday night. So Ashley can be found on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK. More content from him coming in the near future. AJ, of course, just like Keith Richards, cannot be killed by conventional weapons and is also not on social media, but he will respond to comments later down the line if you do leave him any. And also versus ideas, which we get some of those here and there too. AJ's movie reviews coming Wednesday, sometime in the probably early evening. is when I'll get a chance to put it up because I have to work till 4. So yeah,
I hope so. Yeah.
somewhere in that time frame. More Voices video coming. I got Water Parks video coming. I got a buttload of Sippin' Snacks coming. So lots of stuff coming on the network. So stay tuned for that. Follow me on Twitter if you'd like at Sir Owen Disney. And then please, if you're inclined and to do so, take the time to tweet Bubba Gump and find out why they blocked me on Twitter. So, because I want that rectified before next month is over. Because I love frequenting the restaurant, and it's one of my favorites, and it feels weird to be blocked by them. That being said, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. Hopefully enjoy the rest of your week and get ready for Oscar weekend that's coming your way this Sunday night. So we're not going to be doing a full screen experience. We're going to be doing a post show. So 3 of us will be live for the post show after the Oscars are over to talk God knows how long. And then on Monday, we're going to do it all over again, a nice little Q&A ski. And we're going to also talk about kind of like what Josie does all the time. Just gives us little like comments, ask us what our favorite insert thing movie is. So we're going to talk about that. Also talk about the PMC, the Popcast Movie Club, which is coming next month. So all this still to come. And that's going to be the show. So thanks every guys and girls out there for watching. And in the meantime, until Oscar Sunday, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.